Councillor Henry says Stevenage Borough Council is opposed to the EDL march going ahead, but accepts the organisation has a democratic right to voice its opinion. He said meetings have been held with local groups and various communities to reassure them that there will be as little disruption as possible, and a lot of planning has gone into ensuring the march goes off peacefully. A Hertfordshire police spokeswoman said they're well equipped to deal with this kind of event and have dealt with other protests in the past.
The Conservatives have won the Newark by-election, retaining the Nottinghamshire seat, but UKIP cut their majority from more than 16,000 in 2010 to just under 7,500. The Liberal Democrats lost their deposit in finishing sixth. Turnout was nearly 53%. The ambulance service say a motorcyclist has suffered life-changing injuries after a collision with a van on the A10 just north of Royston yesterday afternoon. Crews were called just before 2 o'clock. The 25-year-old man was taken to Addenbrooke's Hospital with serious leg injuries. Aylesbury's hopes of reaching gold standard in the annual Britain in Bloom could be ruined by long grass. According to a Bucks County councillor, Liberal Democrat Stephen Lambert says the three authorities which cut the town's verges need to work together. Ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Nearly 20 world leaders, including the Queen and President Obama, and hundreds of veterans will attend the main commemoration on Sword Beach. David Cameron says it's a humbling experience.
People of my generation just find it hard to believe what people of my grandfather's generation did to ensure we could all live in freedom. And when you hear the stories of people coming back again in their 90s, of what they did and how brave they were, how many people they lost, it just is incredibly humbling.
In sport, Andy Murray faces Rafael Nadal today in the semi-finals of the French Open, and the world's best canoeists will be at the Lee Valley Centre in Hertfordshire as the three-day Canoe Slalom World Cup begins. It will be the first time the Olympic venue has hosted international competition since London 2012. The weather, a fine and sunny day, maximum temperature 22 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It has everything you could wish for. Good shops, character, life, nice people.
It's all about where you live.
There's lots of people around that we know. There's a really good sense of community.
And all this week, we're featuring Stony Stratford.
It's got character and you'll find something to do if you want to join in.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, guys. It's Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. Yesterday, I must tell you, I'll tell you later on when we have people listening to the show. Yesterday was one of the best days of my life ever. Two amazing things. You having a stretch there, Matt?
A lovely stretch.
It's a little bit off-putting, mate. It's in my eye line. It's put me off a bit.
He's got very long arms.
Hasn't he just? He's not 6'4", though, as he claims. 6'2" if he's a day. So if you just put the arms down, Matt.
Really going for it.
I know, too much.
Yeah, good stretch Friday.
Yep, a good stretch Friday. OK, that's not going to catch on. Two amazing things happened to me yesterday.
Number one?
I'll tell you in a little bit.
Oh.
I want to tell you when we got people listening.
Oh.
Why do you sound like you're in the 1940s?
Me?
Yeah.
So are you going to tell us? Is that better?
No, you sound very 1940s. Just talk.
What?
Tell us about the D-Day landings.
Well.
Doesn't she? She sounds AM.
Why?
I don't know.
Is this microphone? Hang on, let me pull the thing out.
You'll have to fix it again.
I can fix it.
This is not the...
That was a YouTube hit, that.
How's that?
Oh, for goodness sake. This is not the smooth start to the show I was expecting. I've got good news to give you. Two amazing things happened to me yesterday. Anyway, what's happening today? Where's Woburn Forest? Why aren't the cutting the grass? That's what it says. That's what it says.
They.
I read... You sound like you're... Are you dialing in from the olden days?
No, I'm not.
Can you hear it, Kels?
I'll come in.
No, don't bother. And what's the EDL's beef?
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It'll just be a flick. A switch that needs flicking. That's what Pete Townsend thought when he wrote this. I asked for pictures of Lily.
You said substitute.
I meant pictures of Lily.
Pictures of Lily's brilliant.
Let's go and get pictures of Lily.
Right now?
Go and get it now.
Okay.
That's what. If I said substitute, I apologise. I meant pictures of Lily.
But you were substituting it with...
Did I say pictures of... Did I say...
No, you said substitute.
I can't talk to you.
No bad thing.
Pictures of Lily is my favourite.
Pictures of Lily is better. That's what I meant. If I said substitute, guys, you have my sincerest apologies. I don't think I did.
You did say substitute.
Shut up, Matt. Catherine?
Is this any better?
No, can you not hear?
No, I can't. My headphones are a bit.
Yeah, it sounds like you're. And on the BBC later on this evening, we'll be looking.
London calling.
That's it. That's it. What? There's obviously a switch that I need to flick somewhere, but I wouldn't have a clue.
I'll do it. I'm just going to do a song for
Oh,
this
Kelly. You really, Kelly.
Kelly, you're dropping paper now as well.
She's dropping paper.
Paper.
What you do, Matt?
She's got tokens on the desk. Empty cups. You need to sort yourself out. Sort out your working area.
That's a full cup.
Mine's all
I'm not
clean, look.
finished.
Yeah, and by the way, Matt, well done for making Kelly a cup.
Yeah.
And nobody else.
No, I made you a cup earlier. And then
earlier, but then you went and made a second round.
No, Kelly, you've only had one cup.
Are you working on some sort of quota?
Kelly's had one cup.
No, but when you go in, you don't, it's not one pub. It's you're on a second round, mate.
There's no selfish coffees in this tin.
Kath, I'm really going to have to ask you to stay out of this conversation.
Can you press stop
Yeah?
and then introduce the Who Pictures of Lily?
No.
I used to wake up in the morning. I used to feel so bad. I got so sick of having sleepless nights. I went and told my dad. He said, son, now here's some little something, and stuck them on my wall. And now my nights ain't quite so lonely. In fact, I don't feel bad at all. I don't feel bad at all. Pictures of Lily made my life so wonderful. Pictures of Lily help me sleep at night. Pictures of Lily solve my childhood problems. Pictures of Lily help me feel alright. Pictures of Lily, Lily, oh Lily, Lily, oh Lily. Pictures of Lily. And then one day things weren't quite so fine. I fell in love with Lily. I asked my dad where Lily I could find. He said, son, now don't be silly. She's been dead since 1929. Oh, how I cried that night. If only I'd been born in Lily's time, it would have been alright. Pictures of Lily made my life so wonderful. Pictures of Lily help me sleep at night. For me and Lily are together in my dreams. And I ask you, hey, mister, have you ever seen pictures of Lily?
And I ask you, hey, mister, have you ever seen Pictures of Lily? 08459 455 555 is the phone number if you want to give us a call. I warn you now, if Catherine Boyle speaks at any point during the show, she will sound like she's from 1942. We've gone over the studio with a fine tooth comb, and by that I mean we've flicked around some knobs and done something with faders, and we can't change it. Never mind. But hey, it feels as if it's been a long time coming, but the new Centre Parks resort opens near Ampthill this morning. They're calling it Woburn Forest, presumably because it sounds posher, and they claim it will inject £20 million into the area every year, having recruited 90% of its staff from a 15-mile radius. There are high hopes that traders in Ampthill and Flitwick will also get a boost, but people who've actually stayed at a Centre Parks wonder whether tourists will spend anything off-site once they're installed in one of its 625 lodges. Well, if you're going there today, if you're booked in the next few weeks, do give us a call and let us know what you're expecting. Joined now by Peter Nunn, who's a travel journalist and broadcaster. Morning, Peter.
Good morning to you, Iain. Do you know what, mate? I'm looking outside the window right now, and the sky is blue. The sun is shining. They're going to be so happy at that.
But isn't Centre Parks all in a dome?
No.
Oh.
One of the big central areas, which is the subtropical swimming area, it is in that dome environment. But the whole idea of Centre Parks is that it is set in a forest environment. It's all about a nature short break.
These places, they are quite enclosed, aren't they? Once you're in there, you don't need to go outside. So it seems odd for Centre Parks to claim that local businesses will do well.
Well, I think it's right on both counts. I mean, certainly, I'm a Centre Parks guy, a dad with 2 children, and I've been to Centre Parks a few times. I mean, of course, the idea is that there are all the facilities there, and, a cynic might say because they want you or a similar camp to make sure you spend your money there. But it is also about the convenience of having everything that you want there. You've got your restaurants and you will have some shops. Having said that, I do think that you will have a collection of people on their way there that are going to pick up a few things. It's like any kind of local environment. Most people now tend to go to the big supermarkets, but then they will also, hopefully, do some shopping in some of their local shops as well.
Local residents were led to believe that they might be getting day passes. Centre Parks aren't doing that now. And I know that some of the big theme parks, I know Legoland, for example, gives day passes to people who live within a couple of miles radius. Do you think maybe Centre Parks should consider that to generate a bit of local goodwill?
Well, that's a question that no doubt you're going to put to Centre Parks. And if it was something that they were considering, or whether it was something that people hope they would consider, of course it's a great idea. But the whole idea of Centre Parks is that you do go there and you stay there, and you've left your car behind and you're walking around or you're cycling around. That is what the concept is all about. So, but it's a fair question. It's one that no doubt you will ask them.
I'm going to slam it to them, Peter. Don't you worry about that. I've never been to a Centre Parks. Is it any good?
I'm a fan of Centre Parks, and I think if you're a family and you've got children, then I think it's a really, really good concept. This is their 5th one in the UK, and they're also in other parts of Europe. The secret, though, Iain, is that you've got to choose in advance how you want to spend your money. Centre Parks, it can accumulate the pennies out of your pocket, no question about that, but I think any holiday can. My accountant is a massive fan of Centre Parks, but he's mean. He's very mean. So when he goes, he only does the activities that he doesn't have to pay for.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. But me...
I like the sound of this guy.
That's why he's an accountant.
Yeah.
But that is the point. I will go there and I will happily do a few of the additional activities. At Centre Parks, the swimming, that big dome that you and I were just talking about, that is included within your price. And you can use the forest, and there are some children's activities and play areas that are all included. Everything else, there's a big shopping list of activities. You do have to pay for all of those. There are obviously there's lots of restaurants. Clearly, you will have to pay for those. Back to my accountant, Dan, he will take a lot of his own food and he'll do all the self-catering bit, and they just tend to stick to the activities, the things, mostly the swimming, but me, I'm the other side. So I think you've just got to choose which person that you want to be. Tight Dan, where you're not pay for things, or me, where you're happy to pay for a few other things. Otherwise, I think it can start to kind of wreck up.
Tight Dan or loosey-goosey Peter. The choice is yours. Peter, thank you very much. Peter Nunn, travel journalist and broadcaster. I'm on the side of his accountant, Tight Dan. I want a bit of that. Listen, I want to spend as little money as possible.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. We've got a nice quiet start so far. None of the major routes are looking busy at the moment. Got some roadworks to watch out for though. In Wing, the Aylesbury Road is closed as you head towards Leighton Buzzard. That's between Church Street and the Wing roundabout. And in Bletsoe, the A6 between Mill Road and the Bourne End Lane, that's closed too. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thank you very much. 6:16, it's Friday. The 6th of June, I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Holiday company Centre Park says its new resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today, will inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Sorry, little windy pops there. I wolfed down a bowl of cornflakes before the show, so you might be getting a few of those as the morning progresses. Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. And ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings.
BBC Three Counties Radio. World War I at home on the BBC.
I tracked a dead man down a trench. I knew not he was dead.
This week, we revealed some amazing untold stories.
The noise must have been terrific because I don't think there was anything between your head and the steel side of the tank.
And discovered surprising local memories.
See, we were drafted from St Leonard's to the boathouse in Boulogne. We had to stay the night, and the boathouse was infested by rats.
If you missed them or want to hear them again, go to bbc.co.uk/WW1.
At Wadston, if we can be seen to be trying to do something for the war effort, then everybody else should be able to do that.
World War I at home on the BBC.
I sure do want you to know that you wear it well. There ain't a lady in the land so fine, oh my. Remember them baseball parties, your brother's karate, the all-day rock and roll shows, them homesick blues and the radical blues haven't left a mark on you. You wear it well, a little time that I don't mind, but I ain't forgetting that you were once mine, but I blew it without even trying. Now I'm eating my heart out, trying to get a letter through. Since you've been gone, it's hard to carry on. I wanna write about the birthday gown that I bought in town. When you sat down and cried on the stairs, you knew it didn't cost the earth, but for what it's worth, you made me feel a millionaire, and you wear it well. Madam Old Nassau's got nothing on you, no, no. Anyway, my coffee's cold and I'm getting told that I gotta get back to work. So when the sun goes low and you're home all alone, think of me and try not to laugh. And I'll wear it well. I don't object if you call collect, 'cause I ain't forgetting that you were once mine, but I blew it without even trying. Now I'm eating my heart out, trying to get back to you.
That, my friends, is the sound of a peacock.
I don't do a programme about Adolf Hitler.
I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.
doors in your house and any windows?
Good question. 08459 455 555. Councils across the 3 counties are having to make savings. Only this week, we heard about the rising cost of children in care, changes to the way people in sheltered accommodation are looked after. Well, the list goes on. But one Aylesbury councillor is keen that his area keeps up appearances in spite of financial constraints. Lib Dem Stephen Lambert represents Aylesbury West on the county council and joins me now. Morning, Stephen.
Morning, Ian.
You're worried about your chances of winning Britain in Bloom?
Well, yeah, I am really, yes.
Why?
Well, there are 3 different regimes of grass cutting across Aylesbury, one for Housing Trust, one District Council, one County Council. They all do it to different levels, and I just want to get it right so that our county town can go for gold and win Britain in Bloom.
But why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I mean, why?
Well, we've had so many complaints about grass cutting. It's the most visible, aside from the roads, the most visible service that the council offer or do, and it just looks good. It gives us a great feel across the town. We've had loads of complaints about grass not being cut.
And have you had any complaints about cuts to public services? Because surely those things are slightly more important than the grass and whether you win a competition, you know, because that says, hey, Aylesbury looks quite nice.
Look, this is not just about other services. There was no need to cut the regime this year at all. It was a personal decision of the previous cabinet member. The county council all the councils had more money this year out of the extra growth that has occurred. So
all councils have had more money?
This particular council did, yes.
How much? What in general? How much more money has your council had? When I thought all councils were facing huge cuts.
So from government funding, yes, there are cuts going right across the board. Yes.
So what extra money have you managed to find down the back of the sofa then?
Well, not exactly down the back of the sofa. There has been extra housing growth in Aylesbury Vale, which has meant more council tax receipts, which meant more money coming in that was unexpected. So some services were brought back, as it were, so they weren't cut from the county council perspective. So, you know, really this was looking at what we can do to make our town, you know, one of the best county towns in the country, and trying to get the right kind of support. So all 3 councils are working together to achieve good status in Britain in Bloom. And what I don't want to do is to let it down at the last minute just because we've got a grass cutting regime that, you know, is so short.
Have you shut any libraries in your area?
No, we haven't.
Okay. Have you cut back on any elderly services for elderly people?
No, in fact, the county council...
Oh, in that case, if you've not... So you've made no cuts at all?
There were some cuts to services.
Which services have you cut?
Such as the Community and Cohesion Service role.
Right, what does that do?
That's the service that helps vulnerable people.
Stephen, come on now. You're a sensible man. A service that helps vulnerable people versus cutting the grass. Come on. Come on.
No, because what you're looking at here, this was out of the budget that was ring-fenced for transportation, for which grass cutting comes under. You know, there was no need to make this particular cut. What I'm delighted is the new cabinet member is happy to work with us to see how we can improve our chances. Because it's a 3-way project between...
So you would rather have the grass cut than put money into services for vulnerable people?
Get off! You're just trying to make a good headline out of that, Ian. Come on, you know.
Well, no, you tell me. You've made cuts in services for vulnerable people, and yet you're banging on about cutting the grass. Which is more important?
Look, you're looking at it the wrong way.
Well, which is more important?
So the point being is the services that we do as a council. I'm not in the administration, remember. I'm an opposition group.
Yeah.
So I did challenge the cuts that were made. There were no need to make the cuts that were made this year. Okay. We increased council tax. In my view, there was no need to do so.
So cutting the grass. I just want to clear this up, Stephen. Cutting the grass is more important than services for vulnerable people, in your opinion?
No, it is not. That is not the case. But where we have an opportunity to continue working with parish councils and town councils to deliver services, we should do so. And one of the things that we do in partnership is cut the grass. There are 3 different regimes, and it's working together in harmony to make sure they're all cut at the same time, doing the right thing at the same time, so that the whole area looks well for the judging.
The Lib Dems aren't doing brilliantly at the moment, are they?
Well, it's been a bit of a challenge.
Well, they came 6th, I think, 6th or 7th in the by-election yesterday. So they're not doing great. Do you think it's perhaps because that quite often their focus is on things that people don't deem to be a high priority?
The Liberal Democrats are community activists. We are grassroots, literally, community activists. We are out there in our communities, embedded in our communities. Sometimes you get washed over by national...
Well, by let's get this right for the by-election, in order, I think, by the Conservatives, by UKIP, by Labour, by an Independent, and then by the Greens.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, because David, our candidate, is a really...
He lost his deposit.
Unfortunately, sometimes that happens in elections, yeah.
But the point I'm making, Stephen, is do you think when the Lib Dems are struggling, that perhaps focus should be on things that people that have a bigger impact on people's lives?
Well, Brennan Bloom does have a massive impact right across the country. It's been running for 50 years. And it does have an impact. People love seeing the floral displays. They like the way that the town is cleaned up. There are community groups, Women's Institute, to schools, to scouts, to little guerrilla gardeners, just taking care of their bit of green across Aylesbury Town. And this is about coordinating effort. It's not about cutting the grass regime. It's a case of coordinating it properly so that it all works together.
So what's the solution, Councillor Stephen Lambert? How are you going to deal with this? How are you going to get this grass mown?
Well, the Cabinet member and I are going to have a discussion about what timings the next grass cutting is going to take place, where it takes place, how it's all scheduled, to make sure that it links in with the District Council and the Housing Trust, so that, because there are pieces of grass, believe it or not, where one council cuts one piece of grass and another doesn't cut to another.
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen those things. That's crazy when one side of the road gets done and the other side gets done a month later. Stephen, listen, I wish you you're a good sport for coming on, thank you. I wish you the very best of luck, of course, with winning Britain in Bloom. If you want to have your say on that, 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Yes, of course, cutting the grass is important, and the way that your towns and your villages and our cities, they look. It's important. Of course it's important. I just... priorities. I don't know. Have I got it wrong? Perhaps I have.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still got a nice quiet start so far. On the speed sensors, the M1 flowing freely, and the M25, that's not looking busy either yet. Some roadworks in Haynes. The High Road, the 40 miles per hour section is closed for roadworks. On public transport, no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30, I'm Simon Oxley. Holiday company Centre Parks say its new resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today, will inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Woburn Forest will cater for 350,000 guests each year. Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. The Conservatives have won the Newark by-election, retaining the Nottinghamshire seat ahead of UKIP in second, and ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Nearly 20 world leaders, including the Queen and President Obama, and hundreds of veterans will attend the main commemoration on Sword Beach.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Andy Murray faces Rafael Nadal today in the semi-finals of the French Open. Their match will be second on court, following Novak Djokovic against Ernest Gulbis. Murray lost to Nadal on clay at the Rome Masters last month.
It was quite clear in my head as well what was working and what wasn't. There's obviously different conditions here in a different court. When we played in Rome, it was extremely cold, it was raining and it was wet. I've been told it was meant to be 25 or 26 degrees, so conditions change, which makes the match slightly different as well.
England midfielder Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain says he's staying positive over his chances of playing in the World Cup following Wednesday night's knee injury against Ecuador. Manager Roy Hodgson says they'll give Oxlade-Chamberlain every chance of proving his fitness.
We couldn't say for certain how long it would take for him to recover. Obviously what he'll get very extensive treatment now. We've got the right, if we want to, replace him up to 24 hours before the first game. But we'll do everything we can to keep him with us.
In rugby, scrum half Danny Kerr is out of England's first test in New Zealand tomorrow, so Ben Youngs is called up. Practice takes place this afternoon, our time, for Sunday's Canadian Grand Prix. And the world's best canoeists will be at the Lee Valley White Water Centre in Hertfordshire today as the 3-day Canoe Slalom World Cup begins. It'll be the first time the Olympic venue has hosted international competition since London 2012, but Bedford gold medalist Etienne Stott misses out due to his shoulder injury. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 7.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, there we go. So it's funny how some people can get upset. Now, Catherine's joined me in my studio. So
Yes.
You just speak?
Hello.
You sound normal.
Okay.
I say normal, I mean, you still got that funny accent, but you sounded very odd in the other studio.
Okay, well, I was a bit odd in there, to be honest.
Well, you've come to look through the papers.
Yeah, let's have a look.
They're in a lot. I mean, I say they're in a lot. I'm not in any way demeaning the excellent coverage of D-Day, the D-Day anniversary. Can I ask a really stupid question?
Well, I've never stopped you before.
I'm going to ask Kelly the stupid question first. Kelly?
Yes.
What do you think D-Day stands for, apart from peace and victory?
Oh.
What does the D stand for in D-Day?
Dog.
OK. Matt's pulled the surprised face.
I think you may have offended a few people.
No,
Kelly.
because Dog Day Afternoon is a film and it's a phrase.
Oh, well, there you go.
It kind of means the underdog having their day. Dog Day Afternoon.
You know more than me.
OK, but what do you think D-Day stands for, Matt? Apart from freedom and peace in Europe.
Declaration Day.
OK. Catherine, what does the D in D-Day stand for? Hey, it turns out this wasn't such a stupid question after all.
Isn't it just... Oh, there might have been other days before...
A-Day, B-Day, C-Day.
Well, yeah.
No, it must... OK.
I know VE Day and VJ Day, victory in Japan, victory in Europe.
Yeah, we know that. We've got that. That's a given.
Is D to do with defence or Dunkirk
I'm so
or something?
I'm so glad I asked this question then, because I thought I'd come in and I thought all of you, apart from Kelly, would be going...
Thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
Isn't it just a code name?
Would just be laughing at me going, oh, you don't know what D-Day is? You should know what it is. But, OK, well, can someone call in? 08459 455 555. What on earth does the D in D-Day stand for? I don't feel ashamed to ask it now.
You should never be ashamed to ask a question.
You're right.
Lesson to kids.
You're absolutely right. And if you don't know what a word means, ask.
Yeah, don't pretend you know.
I aver that you should always ask what a word means.
Aver.
Anyway, the 08459 455 555. What does the D in D-Day stand for? That's actually a genuinely really good question now, and I'm not stupid. But there's excellent coverage in all of the newspapers of this. The pictures, page 2 and 3 of the Mail, with I think they didn't put out 90,000 flags, did they? They did. They did 90,000 flags on the beach of Normandy, and a gentleman saluting it. My favourite picture from the D-Day coverage, though, is page 5 of the Mail. They got some of these old boys. These old boys, they're in their very late 80s, 90s, OK? These are heroes who stormed the beach on June the 6th, 1944, but they're old men now. And so some of them are turned up in their wheelchairs and with their Zimmer frames and stuff like that. Great, you've got to respect that. This old fella, Jock Hutton, 89, he's being parachuted in.
He doesn't look very happy.
He's not enjoying it! Look at Jock's face! Jock is not... He's strapped to another fella. Jock is not enjoying that. Jock is thinking, why couldn't I go in a wheelchair like the others?
The pose can only be described as resignation.
If I have to... I mean, I didn't enjoy doing this last time. It was flippant. There are going to be Nazis shooting at me this time.
Yeah, he doesn't look happy at all.
They should have put a few fellas hiding in bushes with guns,
come on,
shouldn't they?
No, I mean, some of these people are still suffering with the consequences, aren't they?
The coverage is incredible and it has been fascinating. We'll certainly be playing an extended piece about the D-Day coverage later on in the show.
Family members of mine told stories about, the landings. You see it on the films and we're kind of distanced from it. Yeah, they win, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It was confusion. Yeah. It was mayhem. They were landing them too far away from the beach, so they were getting off and being drowned by their own packs. Yeah. It's just... And you were watching man after man in front of you and thinking, it's my turn next and I've got to go. There was no option.
They were boys. They were boys. They were totally boys. It's incredible. Debbie's on the A1. Morning, Debbie.
Good morning, Ian.
Debbie, now, listen, I hate to show my ignorance, but luckily my whole team is displaying theirs. What does the D in D-Day stand for?
I'm not 100% certain, but I seem to think it's deliverance.
Deliverance?
Yeah.
Like, what we're going to deliver justice?
I don't know. I just seem to think it's deliverance, but I don't know where that's come from.
Deliverance is in rescue, surely? To save somebody.
Okay. Where did you hear that, Debbie? Where did you get that from?
Iain, effective listening skills. I don't know where it came from.
Oh. Is she... Sorry. Hang on, Debbie, 1 second. Is she having a pop at me?
No.
Yes.
She was?
Hey, Iain.
Hang on. Debbie, were you having... Can we just clear something up? Were you having a pop at me then?
Oh, I've got to have a pop at you.
No, she was. Hang on, was she having a pop then?
A bit, yeah.
She was, wasn't she? Cheeky. Very cheeky, Debbie. Luckily, I've got the memory of a goldfish, and I've forgotten what we were just talking about.
Well, can I just say, I spoke to you about a month ago.
Oh, I know who you are.
Really?
Yeah, you're mucky, Debbie.
Yes.
Yeah, OK. Have you calmed down a bit now, love?
No, not really.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Go on.
I just show you... Oh, God, that was a dodgy overtake. No, sorry. And,
what?
There was something on Facebook last night, and it was so frustrating I couldn't open it. Apparently it was the funniest thing ever, about you and the minty biscuit. And I took about 5 minutes trying to open it. Couldn't open it. What was it all about?
It's someone calling in to talk about blue badges and minty biscuits. It's not the funniest thing in the world. But you did well to avoid it, Debbie.
I think it's on YouTube, Debbie, if you want to try that.
Thanks, Catherine. I'll have a look.
Debbie, nice to talk to you. I think it was nice. She was cheeking me.
Well, she was thinking about your hairy body.
But she thinks it's Deliverance, but I'm not totally convinced I'm not convinced that she knows.
Well,
here we go. What does
make sense?
What does the D in D-Day stand for? And I'm really glad I asked this question. And Kelly, give us that bit of wisdom again.
Dog.
No, not your answer. You gave us some...
Oh, sorry. Never be ashamed to ask questions.
OK, can I ask another question?
Go on.
Why is Matt still here?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to ask that.
I mean, even I don't know now why I'm still here.
It's on the rotor.
Can we send him out to ask what the D and D
Yes,
stands for?
that's a good idea.
Yeah, that is
I'll
a good...
do that right now.
Thank you.
Good.
Do it via the kitchen and the kettle.
Oh, yeah, can you? Do it via the kitchen and the kettle. Thank you.
Oh, no.
He's easily manipulated.
Kind of like a sort of Jarvis Cocker voice.
In the body of a puppy.
Yeah.
Big lumbering puppy.
I do like him, though.
I'm not so keen. He came in this morning. There was a rubbish song playing on Wally Webb show. He turned it up. It was all sexy, and he's doing like a sexy dance and singing it. And then he went, "Oh, Kath, you're bathed in sunshine."
Well, did it for me. Did it for me.
What else you got in the papers?
Bosses should let workers take naps, says sleep
Shouldn't they
expert.
just?
Bosses should allow staff to take naps at work to boost productivity and create... Oh, no, I'd be out for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you do like a good doze.
Oh, I do, honestly. A nice, sweaty doze. A leading academic has suggested, Vincent Walsh, who's Professor of Human Brain Research at the University College London, so you don't want to mess with him.
No. He'll kill you with his thoughts.
Also proposed they should be allowed to set their own work times, arrive whenever they want.
Oh, man, I love this guy. I love this guy.
We tried to phone him, he wasn't in. No, we didn't.
Look at you with the gags.
We've become obsessed with sleeping only during the night and failed to appreciate the benefits of an afternoon siesta, he told Cheltenham Science Festival. I still love a siesta.
Well, you had a siesta yesterday that went on pretty much all day.
Yeah, that's what I used to do in Spain. You go to bed about 2 o'clock with a full stomach and you eat your big meal then.
Those continentals have got it right.
Wake up about 6.
Yeah.
Go out.
Yeah. Booze.
Eat again about 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Come back drunk.
I don't know how they ever get any work done.
With a random man.
What?
Sorry? Yeah, I've always been an advocate of putting beds, little camp beds, or blow-up beds, in a spare office.
They don't last 2 minutes.
No.
Blow-up beds.
No, they don't.
You end up with your bum on the floor.
08459 455 555. When have you ever ended up with your bum on the floor? And what does D-Day stand for?
I'm still yawning when I'm in the middle of a dream. Stay in bed, float upstream. Please don't wake me, no, don't shake me. Leave me where I am. I'm only seeing.
I've got some bad news. I've got some really bad news, music lovers.
Oh, no.
Turns out Gary Glitter's a paedophile. I mean, who'd have... It's in the... Who'd have thought? Oh, not another one. Oh, man. Who next?
Should just say for legal reasons he's only been charged with this latest one.
With this latest one, yeah, but he's got... He's got
well,
previous.
yeah.
He's got previous.
Anyway.
Susan! Hang on, wait for the psychedelic backwards guitar to finish. It's what George Harrison would have wanted. Off they go into their smoky haze. Susan in Hatfield, good morning.
Good morning, Ian.
Susan, what would you like to say?
I just wanted to say that the D in D-Day doesn't stand for anything except the word day.
Day?
No, it's D-Day, but they've taken the D from day. I can't explain it, but I read it on the internet yesterday.
That's like saying PIN number. Because the N in PIN is number. So you're saying personal identification number, day. So you didn't know either?
I knew, but
But hang on, you looked it up yesterday?
No, I read it on the internet yesterday. It just came up when I logged on. The news came up, and there it was.
Okay, but did you know that before you looked it up?
I did, because I read it somewhere before.
Oh, okay. It's an odd way of naming a day. Day.
It's a code. What's your problem? What's your beef?
I've not got a beef with anything that the Allies, with the majority of things that the Allies did during the war. It's just naming this D-Day.
It's all something to do with the day that they were going to do it, and if they had give it a specific name, they would have had to change everything. If you can find it, I don't know if you can find it from yesterday, and it will explain it better than I.
Well, no, Susan, you've certainly given us a leg up, which is a bunk up. She's given us a leg over. What am I trying to say?
A heads up.
Yeah, that'll do. Susan, thank you very much indeed. So the D stands for day in Day. They should have called it Invading Portugal Day. Because they didn't invade Portugal. That was like Plan C was Portugal. But if they named it Invading Portugal Day, then the Germans would have all been at the beach in Portugal, waiting. Where are they? They are not coming here yet. And then we're in Normandy. Boom.
And we would have been in Normandy, and they'd said, "This is highly irregular."
This is highly irregular.
But anyway, it worked out all right in the end.
Eventually. So, well, seriously, saluting our boys and girls involved, although it was mainly boys.
Well, the girls were working in a different way.
At home in England, yeah.
No, not all of them.
Well,
what do you know? What do you know? You don't know everything.
I know a lot.
Some of those people still haven't spoken about their involvement.
Yeah, I know, and I'm suspicious. 08459... I'm not making light of them at all, of course not. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the speed sensors, the M25 anti-clockwise starting to build up now between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 19 for Watford. Also in Harpenden, the High Street busy in both directions around the Station Road. On public transport, London Overground have no trains at the moment between Willesden Junction and Clapham Junction for emergency engineering works, but tickets are being accepted on the London Underground. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed. Man, if you could have just heard the conversation I was having with Catherine Boyle, it would have put hairs on your chest. It certainly put hairs on yours, didn't it, Kath?
It really did.
Thank you very much indeed. It's 6:46, it's Friday the 6th of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Holiday company Centre Park says its new resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today, will inject £20 million a year in the local economy. Police and the council in Stevenage say they are working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. And ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. 08459 455 555 is the phone. We're still trying to work out exactly what the D-Day stands for. We think it's day, but I'm confused a bit. Let's maybe speak to you after the weather with Georgina.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there. A bit of a chilly start to the day, but those temperatures have quite a way to go as we are looking at highs of about 21 or 22 degrees Celsius by this afternoon. So quite a pleasant, largely dry day today with some long sunny periods, followed by a bit of a muggy night as humidity rises. So we've got temperatures down to about 13 or 14 degrees Celsius. It's clear to start off with, but then clouds over in the early hours of the morning. That's ahead of these outbreaks of rain we're expecting coming up from the southwest. Now, the Met Office have got a yellow warning in place for that rain from 3 in the morning until midnight tomorrow. Now, the further west you are, the heavier they're likely to be. There is a risk of localised flooding because some of these are going to be pretty heavy. However, the further east you are, the more you might think tomorrow, I don't know what all the fuss was about. So it depends how far east it actually manages to travel. But certainly for most of us, by the afternoon, we've got a mixture of sunshine and just scattered light showers with temperatures up to 22 or 23 degrees Celsius even tomorrow. And then Sunday, a much better day, so sunny spells, largely dry. It's going to be feeling a bit fresher as well. We lose that sort of muggy feeling, but probably some rain pushing up northwards in the night. And then Monday's looking showery, and Tuesday too, but a bit more sunshine on the cards. That's your latest forecast.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
There's lots of people around that we know. There's a really good sense of community.
Inviting everyone to where you live.
We've got the nice high street, which is really local, so everything you need, really.
It's one of those places that has retained its character and will hopefully continue to do so for many, many years.
And all this week, we're featuring Stony Stratford.
It has character, life, everything you could wish for, and you think you're in a village but you're still in Milton Keynes.
If you've got a story everyone should hear about, let us tell them about
it's a
it.
where people want to work together to make the best of what we have.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
Stony Stratford, this is the place to be.
From BBC Three Counties Radio.
Over to you.
Did you want me to speak?
I want you to introduce Luke Pickett, Loving You Is Wrong, Because You're My Mum's Best Friend. There was a great song, right? There was a band called the London Fractures. They were nothing. They played tiny things. They did a great song, OK? It's got the best line of any song ever.
Did you just say it?
I'm going to sing it to you.
Go on then.
I'm 18, you're 30. Does that make me dirty? Isn't that a great line? That's the best line of any song ever.
It doesn't, but I think it might make her a bit dirty.
Oh, blimey, boss. It's Frank Sidebottom. Oh, blimey, boss. Oh, yes, boss, thank you.
Shall I?
Sorry, yes. Is this I'm 18, you're 30, does this make me dirty?
No.
Oh, that's a shame, because it's a good song. OK,
Sorry.
go on. Luke Pickett, Loving You Is Wrong. Because you're my mum's best friend. Yeah.
Disclaimer, that isn't...
No, let's have it, come on.
Song. OK, so BBC introducing...
Luke Pickett, Loving You Is Wrong, because
Saturday
you're my uncle.
8 p.m.
What? Oh, blimey. Yes. Come on, quick.
I think you should introduce
No,
it.
come on, you do it better. I don't know anything about this Luke Pickett and this Loving You Is Wrong. What's his beef? It's because he's loving a cow. He's loving a...
So Luke Pickett is... Oh, do you want me to...
remind me, I've got to tell you why yesterday was so good for me, but carry on.
From Harpenden.
Good for him.
He was out a while ago. He was quite rocky.
Yeah.
He's now back, and he's more R&B.
But he's questioning his lifestyle.
This is his new hit single. It's out now. You can go and purchase it.
Okay.
It's called Loving You Is Wrong.
Because you're my mum's chiropodist. Is that it? No? OK, let's see. He's laughing. He's not taking it seriously.
Every time I'm with her, I'm preoccupied. And every time I'm occupied, she's on my mind. Making all these promises so I can go and break them. Then watch her fix the pieces. I know that even though it offered her security, I can never hide my insecurities. Always busy working, never giving her the time that she deserves. But you know that I know loving you is wrong. Loving you is wrong. Loving you is wrong. Baby, 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 please. I'll be putting money out to save our lives. So I gotta break even if it breaks me, baby. I just wanna be a safety net for you. 'Cause you know I blame myself for your illness, girl. And you're probably sick of me and I don't blame you, girl. I wanna put you in them heels and remind you how it used to feel. She said, everything about you is looking like all your time with her said you were working at. I know, baby, I'm so sorry, baby. That's why loving you is wrong. Loving you is wrong. Loving you is wrong. That's why loving you is wrong. Loving you is wrong. Loving you is wrong. You know it's wrong. 'Cause you know my mom so well. Not like the others, they pick themselves up on screen and cry themselves back to sleep at night. You won't catch me brag about my success, 'cause I know that this thing hangs by a thread. I can take you when another man approaches you.
08459 455 555. Malcolm's in Ellsborough. Morning, Malcolm.
Morning, Ian.
Did you enjoy that song?
It was different. I'm more of a Killers fan myself.
Are you a Killers fan?
Yeah.
But not more than Luke Pickett and Loving You Is Wrong?
No, it's good, but I've heard it twice now. It's grown on me a bit.
Well, the question is, Malcolm, have you ever fallen in love with one of your mum's best mates? Did that ever happen?
No.
No? OK, well, that's... Because I imagine that would be a very awkward situation.
I'm 68. We didn't do that sort of thing.
No, sex wasn't invented until 1963, was it?
No,
when the Beatles came out.
That's right.
They invented it. Malcolm, what have you called in for?
About the D-Day.
Oh, yeah, what does the D in D-Day stand for?
Well, I should know. I'm 68. But I've always called it Defence Day, which is wrong.
Oh.
So I cheated.
Yeah.
And looked on the BBC history site.
Yes.
A quote from the Imperial War Museum.
Go on.
D-Day is just a general military term for the day on which any operation or exercise is planned to commence.
Oh.
And it says the most famous D-Day was the 6th of June, but there were numerous other D-Days during the Second World War.
OK. So the D doesn't necessarily mean anything.
No.
But then why do we use the phrase... Where does the phrase D-Day originate from, then? Someone must at some point must have said, what are we going to call this military operation? I know, let's call it D-Day. Why? I don't know, I'm in love with my mum's best friend.
Diana, yeah. No, apparently it is, like the other lady said, something to do with day. So you've got D... -1 will be the day before.
Right.
D after the day.
It's very confusing, isn't it?
It is. And they even have H days and 0 days.
Oh, blimey.
We just should stick to just calling it Operation Overlord, which was its name.
Yeah, Operation Overlord is a much better... Malcolm, thank you very much. Jane's in Cheshire. Morning, Jane.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Jane. What would you like to say?
Basically, D doesn't actually stand for anything.
Oh.
It is it's a letter that was used to refer to the Allied landings on that day of June the 6th.
But why the letter D, then? Where did the D... Why not X or P Day?
Because it was that Pacific day. It wasn't tomorrow. It wasn't yesterday.
No.
It was actually the day that they were going to have the Allied landing.
It was the day of D.
It's the day of D. It's just D-Day. It is a general term used by operation managers in the war.
Jane, thank you very much. Thank you to both those callers. You're explaining it very well. But maybe it's me that's not... I still can't quite get my head around... why you'd say D-Day instead of A-Day, or X-Day, or Y-Day. I still can't quite get my... Someone, at some point... I'm so glad I asked this question now. I was really umming and ahhing about this yesterday. Do I ask this question or not? I'm so glad I asked it, because it turns out none of us know, and those that do know have Googled it over the last couple of days. I still don't understand... Someone at some point must have said, right, we're going to call this... when we go and land on these beaches, when we go and do the D-Day... Sorry? We're going to call it D-Day. Why? Don't ask any questions. No questions, Sunshine. You're not paid to ask questions. You're paid to listen to my answers. My answer is we're going to call it D-Day. I don't get it. Tough. Stick with it. But I'm still none the wiser as to...
Maybe that's what it stands for.
What?
Don't ask any questions day.
No. It's obvious. It's a military term, obviously, and the D doesn't necessarily mean anything. But why would they come up with... Why D-Day, then?
Well, I may have been right. There may have been A, B, C day beforehand, but it didn't come off.
Oh, thank you very much, Catherine.
I think I'm right with the
You're
dog.
welcome, boss.
I really don't... I don't know what's happened to your microphone, but I think on today, of all days, it's completely appropriate that you sound like a news broadcaster from 1944.
From the rest of the show, I should be talking mostly like that.
I wish we were clever enough to think of this. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. And Luke Pickett, he'll be on BBC Introducing, no doubt, in the future.
He was on it last week.
Great stuff.
So you can listen again now.
Beautiful. And Gary Floyd hosting that tomorrow, 8 o'clock.
He's very good, isn't he?
He's excellent.
Luke is fantastic.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Coming up, remind me, I must tell you, and I'll do this later on, maybe about 7:30 when we've got listeners. Two amazing things happened to me yesterday. Now, when I say amazing, in the great scheme of things, they're quite small.
They were okay.
But I found them amazing. They changed my life for the better. Small things changed my life for the better. I'll reveal all in a little bit.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Luton, on the speed sensors around the Kidneywood roundabout, just as you go through the roadworks on the M1 Junction 10 exit Slip Road, things are heavy going as you approach the roundabout and head towards the centre of Luton. The M25 anti-clockwise, slow going between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 19 for Watford. Also starting to build up between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 16 for the M40. On public transport, London Overground have no trains between Willesden Junction and Clapham Junction for emergency engineering works. Tickets are being accepted on London Underground though. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thank you very much indeed. Well, I'm so glad I asked the question, what does D-Day stand for? Apart from a huge personal sacrifice, the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few, what does the D actually stand for? So far we've established it's kind of a military term, but I still don't understand its genesis. We'll talk more about it after the news with Simon.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. The headlines. New resort is multi-million-pound boost for Bedfordshire. Stevenage preparing for EDL March. And world leaders gather to mark 70th anniversary of D-Day.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Holiday company Center Parcs say its new resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today, will inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Woburn Forest will cater for 350,000 guests each year. Center Parcs says 90% of those who work there live within 15 miles. It's hoped the £250 million project will see increased visitors in nearby towns, although travel journalist Peter Nunn says Center Parcs' usual formula is to keep everyone on site.
It is about the convenience of having everything that you want there. You've got your restaurants and you will have some shops. Having said that, I do think that you will have a collection of people on their way there that are going to pick up a few things.
Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. Labour councillor Richard Henry says he hopes the English Defence League march is a one-off event. More from Jane Killick.
Councillor Henry says Stevenage Borough Council is opposed to the EDL march going ahead, but accepts the organisation has a democratic right to voice its opinion. He said meetings have been held with local groups and various communities to reassure them that there will be as little disruption as possible, and a lot of planning has gone into ensuring the march goes off peacefully. A Hertfordshire police spokeswoman said they're well equipped to deal with this kind of event and have dealt with other protests in the past.
The Conservatives have won the Newark by-election, retaining the Nottinghamshire seat, but UKIP cut their majority Party from more than 16,000 in 2010 to just under 7,500. The Liberal Democrats lost their deposit in finishing sixth. Turnout was nearly 53%. The ambulance service say a motorcyclist has suffered life-changing injuries after a collision with a van on the A10 just north of Royston yesterday afternoon. The 25-year-old man was taken to Addenbrooke's Hospital. Aylesbury's hopes of reaching gold standard in the annual Britain in Bloom could be ruined by long grass, according to a Bucks County councillor. Liberal Democrat Stephen Lambert says the three authorities which cut the town's verges need to work together, but denies he's putting grass cutting ahead of other services facing cutbacks.
That is not the case, but where we have an opportunity to continue working with parish councils and town councils to deliver services, we should do so. And one of the things that we do in partnership is cut the grass.
Ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Nearly 20 world leaders, including the Queen and President Obama, and hundreds of veterans will attend the main commemoration on Sword Beach. David Cameron says it's a humbling experience.
People of my generation just find it hard to believe what people of my grandfather's generation did to ensure we could all live in freedom. And when you hear the stories of people coming back again in their 90s, of what they did and how brave they were, how many people they lost, it just is incredibly humbling.
In sport, Andy Murray faces Rafael Nadal today in the semi-finals of the French Open, and Hertfordshire's Olympic venue, the Lee Valley White Water Centre, hosts the three-day Canoe Slalom World Cup. The weather, a fine and sunny day, maximum temperature 22 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It's a town where people want to work together to make the best of what we have and to support each other.
And all this week, we're featuring Stony Stratford.
Got the nice high street, which is really local, so everything you need, really.
It's all about where you live.
It's a friendly place with so much going on, and it's attractive as well.
The big tour from BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor, and I don't like it very much. Oh no, he swallowed my toe, he swallowed my toe. Oh gee, he's up to my knee, he's up to my knee. Oh fiddle, he's reached my middle, he's reached my middle. Oh heck, he's up to my neck, he's up to my neck. Oh dread, he's swallowed my...
If you want some fun, go on YouTube and find Johnny Cash doing that song. He acts it out. He's singing it and he acts it out. It's a treat. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Friday. We've got that Friday feeling, and by that I mean we're shoving our faces full of crunchy bars. Lots coming up, including where's Woburn Forest? Why aren't they cutting the grass? And what is the EDL's beef? If you go to the Facebook page, you'll see our temporary helper, our temporary secretary, Matt Lockwood, recording some of the links for this week's podcast. Go and watch, you'll see why we're so concerned. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You could send me a text if you wanted, 81333. Start your text 3CR. But the best way to get in touch, of course, is to give me a call, 08 459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Here we go. Now, the new Centre Parks opens at Woburn Forest, or Flitwick, as the rest of the world knows it. It opens today with the promise of an extra £20 million per year for the local economy. The holiday chain is planning to employ 1,500 staff, claiming that 90% come from a 15-mile radius. And there are high hopes for a boost in trade in the nearest towns, Ampthill and Flitwick. Well, Rod Calvert is the chair of the Bedfordshire Chamber of Commerce and joins me now. Morning, Rod.
Good morning.
The big boost in trade in the nearest towns. What do we reckon to that?
Well, I think the first big boost is the amount of money going into the economy by the people who are employed locally. Immediately, that's a boost to local towns and local economy by, well, as they say, something like 20 million. But if you think just about salaries, we're talking about something of the order of, I don't know, just looking at the number of people and a low salary even, 12 million or there, directly into the economy. So that's going to boost everything locally, irrespective of what visitors might do.
Well, you're right. It's 1,500 jobs in this day and age is great news, and it is wonderful, isn't it, that the majority of them are from the surrounding areas.
Fantastic, and it was part of the original plan by Centre Parks, and we've worked with Centre Parks along with others to bring this to be, and it's great to see so many young people as well involved, getting trained and ready to move on.
Will the local shops benefit, though? Because I've never been to Centre Parks, but I've heard that they're very self-contained, that once you're in there, you don't tend to come out until your holiday's finished. So the local newsagents, the local supermarkets, the local independent stores probably won't see much increase in trade, will they?
Directly from the visitors, I think they'll see bits and pieces, people come and go, and you're not locked in.
Yes, I'm sure you're allowed to leave if you want. I just imagine most people choose to kind of go in there and stay.
I think you're paying to go and stay. But say that the big boost to the local shops and economy is the fact that the local people have got money in their pockets. That's a really big, tangible benefit. Plus, people will go. And I think the other really important thing about this is that Bedfordshire, for many people in the country, is not a location. It's rather somewhere you go through to get somewhere else. And now here we've got all these large numbers of people coming into Bedfordshire, seeing how beautiful it is. If they're coming by road, they come on off the M1 at junction 13. They come up by train and drive and up through Flitwick and so on. They're going to see that Bedfordshire's a pretty good place. They're going to see signs to Woburn, not to Woburn Forest, but to Woburn Country House and other things. And I think that itself will start to attract more and more visitors to the county and the towns.
I was going to say, you obviously think that this is going to put Bedfordshire, the Shire of Bedford, on the map.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic thing for the whole local economy.
Did you go to the black tie event last night?
No, I didn't.
Did they not invite you, Rod?
I did go. I've been involved with the people from even before they bought the land, and I know the directors very well, and they're a very highly moral and very, very good company, delivering on everything they said they'll deliver. And I did have the opportunity to spend a few days at Centre Parks on a pre-opening weekend, where they were testing the systems and testing the staff and making sure everything worked for the paying customers. And that was just a fantastic experience. And I'll tell you, because of what I do, I was really keen to speak to the staff there. You know, how old are you? Well, you don't really ask that question, but you can see where do you live. And it was great to see that the stats that have been produced were borne out. These people were local. I think the furthest away was Luton and Milton Keynes. The rest I spoke to were even closer than that. They were all happy. They said they'd had great training. They loved working for Centre Parks. Admittedly, it was a honeymoon period. It was the first week.
Yes.
But even so, one got a tremendous feeling of the uplift to the local economy. And seeing all these youngsters beaming and working was just fantastic.
Rod, let's keep our fingers crossed that the local economy does really boom and it brings more people into Bedfordshire. Thank you very much. Rod Calvert, Chair of the Bedfordshire Chamber of Commerce.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Happy D-Day, guys. Is that what we say? I don't know what we say, really, but D-Day is obviously 70 years ago. It's big news. It's in all of the newspapers. Some incredibly poignant photographs on some of the papers. I point this out not to make light, but just because I think this captures the mood. Page 5 of the Mail, my favourite. You don't even have to buy it. Just go into the garage and flick through it and then put it back down. Page 5. Fold the page over so the person who does buy it goes straight there. Page 5 of the Mail. There's a picture of Jock Hutton, 89. Reprises or reprises? Reprisals. Reprises.
Reprises.
Can you hear how you sound?
No, I can't. Stop laughing.
Could you say, in your 1944 voice, the correct pronunciation is reprisals?
The correct pronunciation is reprisals.
We're not doing anything. It's just the way that she sounds today. Anyway, it is a picture of Jock jumping out of an aeroplane. He doesn't look happy. Bless him. He's 89. He's earned himself a lie down, if anybody has. He's earned himself a cup of tea in front of Cash in the Attic and some biscuits. He doesn't look happy. But some incredible pictures, some incredible coverage. It's prompted me to ask the question that I was really reluctant to ask. Sometimes I think, I don't want to ask that because that's obviously a huge gap in my general knowledge and I'm going to look like a massive spanner. Dad, I nearly said something else then. I'm going to look like a massive spanner. But I asked it. It turned out no one on my team knew the answer to this question, and not many of you do. What does the D&D Day stand for? So far... we think we've honed it down to the D. It might mean day, so day. Or it's a military term, but it doesn't actually mean anything. Well, where on earth does it come from? 08459 455 555. Paul's in Elstree. Morning, Paul.
Good morning, Ian.
Are you enjoying is probably the wrong word, but I'm going to use it anyway. Are you enjoying all of this D-Day coverage?
I am, yes. I don't think enjoy, not necessarily the... yes, it's a good word.
Are you appreciating it? Perhaps that's better. That's a better word, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's probably the last one, isn't it, realistically, as far as the veterans are concerned. And I believe the Normandy Veterans Association is disbanding at the end of the year.
Oh, OK. It's a shame. It kind of makes sense. We did have a few people yesterday said, for goodness sake, stop banging on about it. But it's one of those things. It's still within living memory for lots of people. And it was such a significant effort by, what was it, something like 200,000 people that landed on the beaches, that it does need to be acknowledged.
It's a very important part of history, isn't it, really? Yep. I mean, it was the beginning of the liberation of Europe. It stood for so much. And as you said earlier, all those young people, they were all people that were in their late teens, 20s, and you just couldn't really quite imagine that commitment today.
They were kids. Well, you go there 17, 18, 19, you're a kid, really, and they were prepared to do something as ridiculous and as brave as that. But you've got a D-Day fact, have you?
Yes, back in 1994, when it was the anniversary, we were doing an event at Elstree Studios, and I invited along a lady from Radlett in Hertfordshire, and she was the first woman who landed on the beaches with the Allied forces, and she was a nurse, and she was with a medical unit.
Oh, really? So women did land on the beaches, did they, at D-Day?
That's right, and that tends to be... I don't think it ever seems to be mentioned. I don't ever hear about that fact, but she was and recognised as such. She's no longer with us, sadly, but it was acknowledged as a fact. And I'm sure somebody in Radlett or a historian could look it up and tell you who the lady's name was, which I've sadly forgotten now, but she was a lovely lady, and it was obviously, again, a very young lady, and she had some horrific memories of what she had to deal with. And it brought it home to you, really, what it was all about.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. Listen, we don't tend to get... We avoid mawkishness and the sentimentality on this show as much as possible. They're both cold, dangerous things. But I think today, of all days, we can certainly have a little nod in that direction. They had a fella on 5 Live yesterday morning, about 4:30, 4:45, who had been one of the soldiers on one of the troops in the D-Day landings. And to hear his story was incredible. And then the interviewer asked a question I thought was a really stupid question until the answer came back. And he said to him, do you mind talking about this at all? Do you? I said, of course he doesn't mind. He's keen to bang on about it. And the fellow went, the old guy went really quiet and said, yeah, actually, it still really upsets me. Boom. 70 years later, it still really upsets me. Fantastic. Right, it's BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the travel news.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M25 anti-clockwise, busy between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 19 for Watford. Also looking slow on the sensors between junctions 17 for Maple Cross and 15 for the M4. In Borehamwood, the A1 southbound, very heavy going between Stirling Corner and Mill Hill Circus. Then on public transport, London Overground have no trains between Willesden Junction and Clapham Junction for emergency engineering. London Underground are accepting tickets though. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thank you very much. 7:16, it's Friday the 6th of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Holiday company Centre Parks says its new resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today, will inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. And ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Roberto Perroni.
Gardeners wanting to rid their spring flower beds of snails can ditch the beer traps and eggshells and instead develop a strong throwing arm instead.
Weekdays from 3.
I don't think there's any ethical dilemma about throwing them as opposed to killing them. It's clearly better to throw them.
Hertfordshire Police are warning drivers to take extra precautions with their vehicles following a rise in the number of cars stolen using specialised hacking equipment. 2/3 of teachers say poor writing has prevented them giving the marks a student truly deserves.
Roberto Perroni.
I do the animal stories. I also do the space stories, apparently.
Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. You can also email me, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk, IAN.LEE@bbc.co.uk. I've had a very random email, which, maybe we'll get to that a bit later on. Now, we heard earlier from Liberal Democrat Bucks County Councillor Stephen Lambert, who says that Aylesbury's chances of reaching gold standard in the Britain in Bloom contest could be scuppered by the grass being too long in some parts of the town. Britain in Bloom, do we care? I don't know, but we all like a nice tidy verge, don't we? Cut it back. Always cut it back. We can speak now to Conservative Bucks County Councillor and Cabinet Member for Transportation, Ruth Vigor-Headley. Good morning to you, Ruth.
Good morning.
How much difference would keeping the grass in check make to your budget?
Oh, that's a very large question, isn't it? If we were to give a bowling green cut, I dread to think how much that would cost us.
Because it's when cuts are being made financially and services are being cut back, to be so upset about cutting grass back so that you can win, a rosette in Britain in Bloom, it seems a little bit dismissive almost.
Oh, absolutely not. I understand the challenge that Steve Lambert faces. What I am prepared to do is work very closely with Steve so that we could possibly adjust our cutting programmes so that just before, that the event takes place, that we can work with him and do the best we can.
But if you're just doing it just before the event takes place, then it's like, painting the hospital when the Queen comes round. The people who live there are going to have to suffer for a bit and won't get the full benefits of it until the judges are coming.
Not necessarily. I mean, we are due to cut six times this year. The programme is already underway. What we can do is slightly adjust that programme so that we can make it better for Steve Lambert.
6 times a year, how much does that cost?
Well, we have a budget for the urban of $599,000.
Yeah.
That actually cuts 25,200,000 metres square, which is 4.2 million metres per cut.
Blimey.
And shall I give you the length of the urban network, which is 1,910 kilometres.
Why is Britain in Bloom so important? When services are being cut, when people are, seeing things disappearing, why is Britain in Bloom so important?
Well, it's important that people want to take ownership of their areas, to have pride. And equally, it's very important for Bucks County Council to be able to be proud of a lovely town.
When you say for people to take pride in their areas, are you suggesting that you're going to get punters to go, citizens to go out and cut the grass?
Well, we have just started negotiating with about 168 parish councils, town councils across Buckinghamshire on devolved services, where we're encouraging them to look at their villages and their small areas in the under 30 mile per hour limits, to take responsibility and to offer their residents a bit more of an effective and efficient way of looking after their communities.
So you want the residents to do it?
Not necessarily, no. We're looking at the town and the parish councils.
Because the parish councils won't be able to afford to do it, will they? Their budgets are significantly smaller.
They are indeed, so we're offering them some money, and we're offering them some pump priming money to start this off over a 4-year period.
What does pump priming money mean, sorry?
Well, we'd like to see if we can assist them in buying any equipment or machinery or, advertising, that type of thing.
OK, how much are you going to give them?
Oh, it depends on the size of the parish, and I haven't got those figures to hand.
OK. Some people might just, think that's a delegation of your responsibility.
Yes, you could say that, but however, it does give the opportunity to the parish and the town councils to reach out to their electorate, to ask their electorate what they would like, how many cuts. Stukely at the moment run a fabulous model that's run by a volunteer that employs younger people. And Amersham Town Council run a superb model, and they reach out and they cluster with other parishes, and it just gives that flexibility for them to cut as and when they feel their residents would like it.
In the great scheme of things, though, Ruth, when, libraries are facing cutbacks and social clubs and bowling greens and clubs and all of these things are facing cutbacks, whether the grass gets cut 6 times a year or 3 times a year, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, it does. It does to some people. Other people have come to us and said, please don't cut anything. Please leave the wildflowers.
Oh, dear.
Please leave the insects.
Oh, no, I don't want the insects, Ruth. Get rid of the insects. I hate butterflies and moths.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
dear.
Can't stand those flipping little things.
Oh, well, I'm afraid some residents love them and they wish to keep them. So we're in a difficult situation.
OK. So you're speaking to Councillor Steve Lambert, and are you confident that you can come up with an agreement that works for both of you?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that it all pays off, and... A rosette is one for Britain in Bloom. That was Conservative Bucks County Councillor, Cabinet Member for Transportation, Ruth Vigor-Headley. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Len's in Hemel. Morning, Len.
Good morning.
What does the D&D Day stand for?
I think it stands for Departure Date because...
What? That's 2 Ds. That'll be Double D Day. And that's something different.
Departure.
Departure Day. Oh, Departure Day. Yeah.
What it was... The 6th was chosen because of the weather.
Oh, it was supposed to be the 5th, wasn't it? But the weather was atrocious.
Yeah, and they couldn't get the ships across. Also, it was a signal for the Marquis in France to start blowing up railway lines and everything to help the... And there was another signal that went out, was V for Victory.
Oh, yeah, that's the fingers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the finger's the right way round, which was then, of course, hijacked by the hippies.
Right. Not the other way.
Are you again, enjoy is the wrong word, are you appreciating all of this coverage, or do you think maybe it's a little bit too much?
No, I like it because I'm an ex-paratrooper.
Oh, OK. Len, can I ask roughly how old you are?
I'm 75.
Oh, OK. Well, in that case... Because, listen, you've got... Go and have a look in the mail, Len. Page 5. There's Jock Hutton.
Yeah, I won't be able to see that, Ian. I lost my sight.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I will describe it to you. There's Jock Hutton, right?
Yeah.
He's 89, and he's doing a parachute jump. He's strapped to someone a little bit younger.
He's that 90-year-old, isn't he?
Yeah. He doesn't look very happy. With your advanced age, Len, I'm being polite there. Let's be honest, you're really old. Would you enjoy another parachute jump, or does the thought of that terrify you? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Once the adrenaline kicks in, it's fine.
When was the last time you did one?
My last parachute jump was a practice jump, was about 30 years ago.
OK. And did you have your sight then?
Yes.
Because would it be more intense now that you're now that you can't see so well, now that you're blind? Would it be more terrifying?
No, just
because you wouldn't know when you're going to hit the ground.
I'll be strapped to another person.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know when you're going to hit the ground.
No, they actually tell you when you start moving your feet.
Okay.
You can do the roll.
And you think physically you'd be up for it? You'd be able to do it?
Too right, I would.
Len wants to get in there.
Too right.
Well, Len, go and do it. Why can't you do it?
Well, it's a matter of getting it arranged.
Right, OK. Well, listen, I can't promise anything, but there may be someone listening, Len, who can arrange it, OK?
Well, that's fine.
So let's see if you're all mouth and no trousers, shall we? Len, you never know. Someone might call in with a very generous offer, so keep listening. Len, lovely to talk to you. You're a good sport. 08459 455 555. Do you own an aeroplane and a bedsheet?
No, I think it needs to be a bit more than that. You need some ropes as well.
Your voice is brilliant. Some ropes. And a rucksack.
You didn't ask him the question, though. When he jumped out of the plane, did he ever think, oh, God, my parachute might fail? Because I would be thinking that if I jumped out of a plane...
Ask him.
Len?
Yeah?
I don't know if you can hear. We've got a northerner working with us. I'm sorry about that. But, Matt, what did you want to ask him, Matt?
Len, when you jumped out of the plane, did you ever think, the parachute might fail?
Well, if it did, you were sitting on a spare.
Ah, right.
Supposing the spare failed.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad. You hit the ground hard.
Bosh. Bish, bash, bosh. Len, you're a very good sport, thank you. If anyone can... How much does it cost to put an old fella up in an aeroplane and push him out? I know it's a little bit more to it than that. How much does that cost? It can't cost that much, can it?
Couple of thousand, is it?
Oh, that's a little bit more than I was expecting.
Can't be that much, can it?
How much does it cost?
Don't know, never looked into it, don't fancy it.
Well, you're not an old man. Isn't Len a great sport? Someone call in who's got an aeroplane and the necessary equipment, and I guess you need licences and insurance and stuff.
Bit of training.
A little bit of training. 08459 455 555. Or tell me how much it costs. Dave Luton, Dave.
Good morning.
I'd love to push you out of an aeroplane.
Yeah, I'd like to push you as well.
Yeah, well, I'll push you first.
You wouldn't.
I would.
Well, you've got experience in paratrooping.
I've got experience in pushing your buttons.
Right, my what?
Buttons.
Oh, sorry. Right.
Did buttons sound rude? It didn't sound rude. Yes, Dave.
Right, when my late father was alive, he was in the Royal Marines in the First World War, and he told me D stands for Dispatch Day.
In the First World War?
Yeah.
OK, so it goes back that far. So D-Day would be Dispatch Day. But we're being told it means Day-Day? D-Day-O?
No, it's dispatched for every...
Bidonero!
Oh, here we go again. Excuse me.
Bidonero!
Oh, dear, yeah.
Deo!
That's me. You calling me?
Yes. So that's who Freddie Mercury was shouting at the back of Milton Keynes Stadium.
Oh, just one thing, Ian.
Yes.
Is Catherine speaking down her pipe?
Catherine, are you speaking down the pipe?
A bit, yeah.
She sounds funny, doesn't she? But I quite like it.
Where is she?
She's in the studio next door with Matt and Kelly, the studio she always uses. I promise you we've got no effect. We haven't got any effects here. We've done nothing to her voice. That's just what she's sounding like.
No, she's talking down a pipe.
I'm not talking down a pipe.
You're talking down a pipe. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye, Dave. Gone.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the speed sensors in Luton at the Kidneywood roundabout, London Road is heavy going as you head towards the motorway. And on the sensors in Cheshunt, the A10 southbound very slow approaching the M25. On the M25 itself, anti-clockwise carriageway looking slow between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 15 for the M4. On public transport, London Overground have no trains between Willesden Junction and Clapham Junction for emergency engineering. London Underground are taking tickets though. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Business leaders are welcoming the new Center Parcs resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today and which is expected to inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Woburn Forest will cater for 350,000 guests each year. Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. The Conservatives have won the Newark by-election, retaining the Nottinghamshire seat, and ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Nearly 20 world leaders, including the Queen and President Obama, and hundreds of veterans will attend the main commemoration on Sword Beach.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Andy Murray faces Rafael Nadal today in the semi-finals of the French Open. Their match will be second on court following Novak Djokovic against Ernest Gulbis. Murray lost to Nadal on clay at the Rome Masters last month.
It was quite clear in my head as well what was working and what wasn't. There's obviously different conditions here in a different court. When we played in Rome, it was extremely cold, it was raining and it was wet. I've been told it was meant to be 25 or 26 degrees, so conditions change, which makes the match slightly different as well.
England midfielder Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain says he's staying positive over his chances of playing in the World Cup following Wednesday night's knee injury against Ecuador. Ian Dennis is with the squad in Miami.
Roy Hodgson is reluctant to make a rash decision and will bide his time regarding the fitness of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. England, like any other nation, have until 24 hours before their opening World Cup game to replace a player who has a serious injury. As a result, the fitness will be assessed and treated over the next few days. The knee injury isn't as serious as first feared, but Oxlade-Chamberlain's place in the squad in Brazil is still in doubt.
In rugby, scrum half Danny Kerr is out of England's first test in New Zealand tomorrow, so Ben Youngs is called up. Practice takes place this afternoon, our time, for Sunday's Canadian Grand Prix. And the world's best canoeists will be at the Lee Valley Whitewater Centre in Hertfordshire today as the three-day Canoe Slalom World Cup begins. It will be the first time the Olympic venue has hosted international competition since London 2012, but Bedford gold medalist Etienne Stott misses out due to his shoulder injury. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 8.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Got some text. Kath, you want to do the text in your 1944 voice?
Very well.
You can't hear it. You've got to listen back to how you sound. It's brilliant.
Well, Andrew, who is a GOG in High Wycombe,
Grumpy old git. Yeah.
has this, and I've never heard this before. Do you want me to do the voice?
It sounds so good.
3CR. Let's not forget the one person with whom D-Day wouldn't have happened. He was the man whose body was left for the Germans to find with false information of the Allied plans on him. The fake personal items also on him made it so convincing, Hitler must have thought he was a right smarty lederhosen massing the forces when he knew the Allies were going to be. Andrew, GOG, High Wycombe.
Get that in the podcast.
Sorry?
Put that in the podcast.
Sorry, are you the boss now?
Put it in podcast.
Why?
It's lovely, isn't it? I mean,
I'm not going to just because he said it.
Well, if I were to say it, would you put it in?
Of course.
I think we should put that in the podcast. Yes, I do.
It's already in.
So did they do that? They put someone...
They killed...
Someone made the ultimate sacrifice?
The Brits killed a man and left his body for the Germans to find.
Or was it just a body they had...
Fair play. The subterfuge that went on in World War II is pretty rubbish. I mean,
it was the days before Google, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so you could get away with all sorts.
Exactly. I mean, the thing that they... what they did in England, in case there was an invasion by the Nazis... They turned the signs the other way round.
I saw that in Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
So all the signs would be pointing London's this way. They'd end up in Bath. I thought it was London. No, nuts. Brilliant. And the blackout. I mean, it's so... I'm not making light of it. The blackout is such a simple idea. You don't have any lights on and you tape up the curtains over the window so that no lights get out, so they can't find where to bomb.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
They also used to drop leaflets in Germany saying that you're losing.
It's so... it's simple but clever. Ray's in Luton. Good morning, Ray.
Oh, good morning, Ian.
Good morning, Ray. What would you like to say?
I would like to ask you...
Yes?
If you would play me a record for my 55 wedding anniversary, which was on the 6th of June 1959.
Ray, are you being eaten by a wolf?
No.
I can hear like a growling and a snarling in the back. That's not the wife, is it?
The little dog's down here. My two little dogs down here waiting for their food.
They don't sound like little dogs, Ray. They sound massive.
No, they're all right. They're only small.
What are they?
I've got now. Jack Russell.
They are. They sound huge.
No, well, they're like playing each other, running about.
Oh, well, that's good. So you got married 55 years ago on June the 6th?
55 years today.
Oh, blimey. And are you still together?
That's a long while, isn't it, when you come to think?
Yes, it's too long, some might say, Ray. You never thought of, your eye has never roved elsewhere?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Never?
No, not never.
Okay. She's. Is that her in the background?
Not many that do, though, now, is there?
No, not many that do these days, Ray. They could learn a lesson from you. How have you managed to stay together for so long?
Trust in each other and share.
What's share got to do with it?
Money.
What, did Cher give you money?
Yeah.
Why did she give you... How do you know Cher?
If I want anything, Jonathan, I buy it. If Sylvia wants anything, she buys it.
So Cher gives you money to buy stuff?
And we don't buy anything until we got the money.
From Cher?
When I moved in my council house, Jonathan...
It's Iain, but never mind, go on.
I didn't get a fitted...
No.
Wardrobe and fitted fridge and all this, that and the other, but we had second-hand settee, little old cupboard here, cupboard there. Now, these days, Jonathan, Iain, they want everything.
Did you know what? You're right. My mum and dad would have gone second-hand and would have had hand-me-downs and would have saved, and when they could afford it, they would have bought it.
Exactly.
They didn't get a handout from a 60s pop star. Is your missus there, Ray?
My wife is here, yeah.
Can I have a little word with her?
Yeah. She's bear with her because she's...
Naughty?
No, the earliest stages of Alzheimer's.
Well, don't you worry, Ray. I will handle her with kid gloves.
OK.
Hello?
Good morning, my love. What's your name?
Sylvia.
Hello, Sylvia. Have you been married to Ray for 55 years?
Yes.
How on earth do you put up with him?
Well, you have to take the good with the bad, and there's not been that much bad. You obviously get your moments, but most of it's good. We have happy times together, and
we've had a right.
We always have a laugh.
I'll tell you what I like about you two.
And we've had a row.
Oh, shut up, Ray. I'm talking to your wife now.
Well, I'm telling her.
I tell you what I like about you two. It's that you can tell that you two have a bit of a laugh together, and because you keep finishing each other's sentences.
I know. It's a habit.
Whose idea was it to get the dogs? It was his idea, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. You don't like them, do you?
What?
You don't like the dogs, do you?
Oh, yes, I do.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. Listen, put Ray back on, because I think Ray wanted to request a record. Lovely to talk to you. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Ray, what was the song you wanted?
Well, what we would really like...
Yeah.
It's, 1 minute.
Oh. Was it Cher? Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves?
No. It was Brendan Duncan playing When Your Old Wedding Ring Was New.
Oh, I know the song. Was that your first dance or something?
That is our favourite, yeah.
OK, well, listen. We don't do requests on this show.
No, I know that, no.
And we couldn't find the Brendan Fraser version.
Oh, all right.
But we've got someone called Ray Gelato.
OK.
Do you fancy a bit of that?
Whatever.
I'm only doing this because I like you and your missus, Ray, OK? I wouldn't do this for anyone else.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Have a lovely day.
Can I just say happy belated birthday to Matty, because I haven't seen him.
Who's Matty?
I know him, yeah.
OK, well, happy birthday... Oh, blimey. It's turning into Ken Bruce. We'll play Popmaster in a minute. Happy birthday, Matty, and happy wedding anniversary to you two.
Thank you very much.
Go and have a little cuddle and a little dance.
Yes, we're going to do that.
Good, lad. Away you go.
Wedding ring was new, and each dream that I dreamed came true. I remember with pride how we stood side by side. What a beautiful beautiful picture you made as my bride, even though silver crowns your hair. I can still see the gold ringlets there. Love's old flame is the same as the day I changed your name. When your old wedding ring was new. Stood side by side. Oh, what a beautiful picture you made as my bride. Even though silver crowns your hair, I can still see the gold ringlets there. Well, love's old flame, it's still the same as the day I changed your name. When your old wedding ring was new. Wedding ring was new.
Come on. I've just had a tweet. So I've been listening to you for 10 years. This is the first time you've ever done a request. I'm welling up. Never do requests. I hate requests. Boring. But for Ray and Sylvia, happy wedding anniversary. 55 years today. And I hope you've managed to fall back into bed, you two mucky teenagers, for goodness sakes. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. As a direct result of that, though, it means that the audio, the little piece that Matt Lockwood went out to record, well, Matt, we can't play your piece now, I'm afraid.
Yes, you can. Well, it's been shifted to 8:30, I'm told.
Yeah, probably going to be busy.
No, I did that. No, you got to play it out.
Well, sometimes it gets dropped.
Well, it's a good one. I don't know if I could take it if it was dropped. Working on this programme, takes it out of you, and I don't know. I don't know if I could return next week. I mean, you might be relieved, but I'll have to just withdraw my services altogether. And the piece does make a point that nobody knows in Luton what the D in D-Day stands for, which is the whole point of the phone-in that you were having. I do have the answer here that I could reveal as well after my Vox. I've done some proper research. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 London bound at junction 13 for Bedford, there's been an accident, and looking on the speed sensors causing a little bit of slow traffic but no major delays. The M25 anti-clockwise, very heavy going between junctions 17 for Maple Cross and 15 for the M4. Also in Kings Langley, the A41 is queuing as you approach the M25. And on public transport, we've got no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thanks very much. 7:46 It is Friday, the 6th of June. I'm Iain Lee, and I am thoroughly anticipating the release of my headlines into my headline window. That's going to be great. Where's my heads? 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 There's my heads. There's my heads. Business leaders are welcoming the new Centre Parks resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today and which is expected to inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. And ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Coming up, well, we'll be talking about that EDL march and also taking some of your calls, 08459 455 555. Before that, let's get the weather. Here's Georgina.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there. A bit of a colder start to the day, but those temperatures are really going to become quite healthy by this afternoon. So a largely dry day with some long sunny periods and temperatures up to 21, 22 degrees Celsius. Now, it's a muggy night tonight, though. We'll have temperatures only down to about 13 or 14 degrees with clear skies initially, but clouding over in the early hours ahead of this rain that's pushing up from the southwest. And the Met Office have a yellow warning in place for that rain from 3 a.m. in the morning until midnight tomorrow. So there are going to be some rather showery outbreaks of rain. Now, the further east you are, the less likely you are to have the heavier bouts, but certainly in the western parts, going to be some fairly heavy downpours at times, and there is a risk of localised flooding under the heavier showers. So temperatures tomorrow reaching about 22, 23 degrees Celsius. As we head into the afternoon, for most of us, it becomes a sort of much sunnier end to the day, and maybe just a few scattered lighter showers around. For Sunday, though, a much better day. So sunny spells, fresher, largely dry. We may just have some rain pushing up from the south in the night, though, again. But at the beginning of next week, looking a little unsettled with sunshine and showers. That's your latest forecast.
Imagine a radio station with no music.
What's your favourite biscuit?
Imagine a programme without conversation.
Listen to me, I'm really important.
Imagine an afternoon with no local stories.
Hundreds of miles away, something really impressive is happening.
Sounds pretty boring. Which is why we have Nick Coffer.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Nick Coffer, here until 3 o'clock.
Every weekday, he'll bring you the music.
Gallagher and Lyle, I want to stay with you. Every breath you take, that's the police.
The conversation.
His dedication to local musicians has led him to starting Papermouth.
And the local stories.
Today we're going to be looking at the work of the Bedford and Milton Keynes Waterways Trust.
Say no to boring afternoons and listen to Nick Coffer. Weekdays from midday, here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Matt's in Luton. Morning, Matt.
Hello, Iain.
Matt. Are you the Matt that Ray and Sylvia were referring to?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
for goodness sake. Aren't they a lovely couple?
Well, I've got some great stories about Ray and Sylvia. They used to go to the boys' club, Luton Boys' Club, and I used to see them every Monday, but they don't go because Sylvia ain't been too well.
Yeah, we heard.
But absolutely great couple. Ray is an absolute terrific guy.
We just had Ray call back, and Ray and Sylvia had a little dance in their kitchen to that song.
Yes,
Isn't that
yes,
55 years? Isn't that nice?
We used to do that in the club. I used to say, Sylvia, come on, baby, let's have a dance. She loved it. She loved it.
I'm hoping they fell back onto their bed, Matt, and had a little kiss and a cuddle.
Well, I hope not, because it might destroy Ray.
Matt, listen, I've got to move on. I'm sorry to keep it so short. We've got a really busy show this morning. Lovely to hear from you, and really lovely to hear from Ray and Sylvia. 55 years today. It's the first dedication I've ever done on the radio, and I won't do another one for another 10 years. Looking forward to 2024, guys. Now, there'll be rolling roadblocks, road closures and traffic disruption in Stevenage tomorrow when the English Defence League marches through the Old Town. There'll also be a counter-protest by the TUC. Well, in a moment, we'll hear from Superintendent Matt Nichols from Hertfordshire Police. But first, let's talk to Stevenage's portfolio holder for community safety, Richard Henry. Good morning to you, Councillor.
Good morning, Iain.
How long have we known about this march?
Well, I mean, typically with the EDL, we don't know until very close to the day actually what's going to happen because they're fairly disorganised. So, and we've only really known in the last couple of weeks what they're intending.
The EDL is kind of it's a headless chicken now, isn't it? It's surely on its last legs.
Well, we hope so. It's the remnants of football hooliganism, which, they've got nothing better to do than disrupt peaceful towns.
Do we have any idea how many people are expected to come?
Well, any estimates between 30 and 200. Some marches they've planned, they haven't turned up, and others they've only turned up with 30. But, we think there may be up to 200.
OK. And what's their beef this time? What are they having a whinge about now?
I don't know. I don't know why they're coming to Stevenage. Stevenage is a very peaceful town. It's a multicultural town where everybody gets on with everybody. We've no idea why they've picked on Stevenage.
I suppose it is their democratic right to protest if they follow the correct avenues, and we have to kind of support that.
Yeah, we live in a democratic society, and they've got a right to march and, preach their hateful message, but if they break the law, then the police will take action accordingly.
The TUC, their march is kind of in protest of the EDL march, is that right?
That's right, yeah. Well, I mean, the trade union movement and the Labour supporters will be out in the streets to show our support for our communities.
Right.
And we hope this event will go quickly and peacefully.
Is it the best decision for the TUC to come out, though, when the EDL there? Because it could be argued it's best just to let them do their protest and get on with it. If there's an opposing faction there, that might cause trouble.
The police have taken a lot of steps to keep the two marches separate, and where the groups are going to be meeting are kept separate, and the police have taken a lot of time and effort. They've worked hard at trying to get this over as quickly as possible.
Expensive, I'd imagine.
I don't know what the cost to the police will be. Obviously, you need to ask Superintendent Nichols that. And there may be a small cost to the council in terms of clearing up. And obviously, we'd rather not have these people in our town.
Richard, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Richard Henry, I hope it goes peacefully. We are joined by Superintendent Matt Nichols from Hertfordshire Police. Morning, Matt. Is something like this expensive?
Good morning, Ian, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about this event. They have been expensive in the past, and probably many of your listeners will remember Luton 2011, and that was a very expensive policing operation. But over the years, we've learnt a lot more about the movement. We've worked a lot more effectively in partnership, and so this event in Stevenage is significantly less than the cost of Luton in 2011.
How many officers are going to be there?
We have probably in total about 200 officers on duty. They will be in various guises in terms of some will be public order trained. Members of the public will see a number of horses in Stevenage. Horses are particularly effective with dealing with mass people gatherings and protests of this type. And we'll have all of the normal safer neighbourhood teams in the town centre who members of the public, local residents, local businesses will recognise because they engage with the community every day.
Could you have stopped this protest, Matt?
In a word, no. We live in a democratic society, and the police have a positive duty to safeguard the right to protest, and we may not impose unreasonable restrictions upon that right. And the only way we could do that is if we could show that there would be serious disorder or serious disruption to the community. And bearing in mind the events in Luton in 2011, which was a significant protest, that there was no appetite to prevent that. And that is one of the things of living in a democratic society. And I would say that recently the EDL have protested in places like Peterborough, Rotherham, Newcastle. They do engage with the police. We do have a relationship with them in terms of a protest liaison officer, and we work with them so that they can undertake their right to peaceful protest.
I would imagine that the shops in Stevenage might suffer tomorrow. Some people may choose to stay away. Is that your advice?
Our advice is that Stevenage is very much open for business, and of course there's the Stevenage Day on the Sunday. In terms of businesses, we've done various leaflet drops and communications both with businesses and local residents. There will be some disruption both to the Tesco's and the Asda on Lytton Way as the march comes past there. So we have advised those businesses, and we have been putting out messages for people just to plan, if they go shopping at a certain time on a Saturday, just to be aware that for a period of time they may not be able to get out of the car park, and so they just need to think about that.
Matt, fingers crossed it goes peacefully and trouble-free. That's Superintendent Matt Nichols from Hertfordshire Police.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah. That is what I'm talking about, baby. That was a stretch.
I'm going to do it.
Go on.
Thanks, bye-bye. Thanks, Richard.
Have it!
Oh, it's so good when your back clicks.
Kath, do it. Have a stretch, Kath. Have a stretch.
I feel taller.
Do it. Have a stretch, Kath. Do it.
Everybody join us in having a stretch. A 7:56 stretch.
Oh, actually, I didn't think I needed a stretch.
You need a stretch.
Good one.
Oh, I think there's any time for a stretch.
Even people from the... Oh, it's my back. The 1940s need a stretch, Kath.
Got to stay limber.
How does she do that, though? That's funny. Oh. So, let me tell you, Kath, why yesterday was such a revolutionary day for me.
Please,
okay.
Tell me.
So, two things. Small things, but wonderfully huge things. Right. For months, nay, let's say a year, I've been trying to find a little bit of a product I like to call spray-on starch. Not being able to find it anywhere. And I keep going to the same branch, I'm going to say it, of Tesco, and I keep going up and down the same aisle, and it's not there. And yesterday I did a thing I very, very rarely do. I asked someone for help in a supermarket. I asked a lady where the starch was, thinking she'd say, we don't do it. Because for the last year I've not found it. She took me to this tiny, tiny little section right at the top.
It said starch.
Starch. Bought 2 cans, £1.50 each, £3 in total. I've starched my shirt. I've starched my jeans. I've starched my pants. I shouldn't have done that. That's made it uncomfortable down
You
there.
starched your shirt?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but there's no...
Does your shirt know?
No, there's no creases in it, though. If I pull it tight, if I pull it taut...
Yeah.
There's no creases.
I do like the smell of starch. There are quite a few creases. I do like the smell of starch.
This starch, though, it kind of goes a bit powdery.
Yeah.
If you iron it, which is defeated. But the other thing I did something for the first time I've never done before yesterday. It involved saucy meat. I had barbecue ribs.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I had barbecue ribs for the first time.
You can't get much more caveman than that.
Hold on, sorry, I've missed it because I've been on the phone.
Yes.
Are these the two interesting things that you've been talking about all morning?
Correct. The barbecue ribs. I tried to eat them with a knife and fork.
Are you crazy?
And you pick them up. There's not a lot of meat on there.
No.
But the meat that's on there, it's damn good, man.
I know. It takes ages to prepare, seconds to finish.
It takes ages. It took 5 minutes in the microwave.
Oh, you didn't marinate it yourself?
Of course not. I got it from the supermarket.
I don't know why
place.
I'm disappointed or surprised.
Fun things, guys. Fun things, Matt.
Are you playing my Vox soon?
Oh, flipping heck.
Sorry to bother you. I work at Three Counties Radio.
Oh, no, we're not.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 London bound between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick, one lane is blocked after an accident. Things are slow through the area there, and thanks to Sam for phoning in with an update. The M25 anti-clockwise very heavy still between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 15 for the M4. Also on the speed sensors, the A1M southbound looking heavy around junction 7 for Stevenage. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Alice. We will try and squeeze in Matt's piece about what D-Day stands. It turns out most of you don't know what the D in D-Day stands for. I don't feel so alone now. Let's get the news. Here's Simon.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. The headlines. Business leaders back new Bedfordshire resort. No welcome for EDL in Stevenage. And world leaders gather to mark 70 years since D-Day.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Business leaders are welcoming the new Centre Parks resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today and which is expected to inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Woburn Forest will cater for 350,000 guests each year. Centre Parks says 90% of those who work there live within 15 miles. Rod Calvert, chairs Bedfordshire Chamber of Commerce.
The big boost to the local shops and the economy is the fact that the local people have got money in their pockets. That's a really big, tangible benefit. Bedfordshire, for many people in the country, is not a location. It's rather somewhere you go through to get somewhere else. And now here we've got all these large numbers of people coming into Bedfordshire.
Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. Labour councillor Richard Henry says they hope the English Defence League march is a one-off event.
I don't know why they're coming to Stevenage. Stevenage is a very peaceful town. It's a multicultural town where everybody gets on with everybody. We've no idea why they've picked on Stevenage. We live in a democratic society and they've got a right to march and, preach their hateful message. But if they break the law, then the police will take action accordingly.
The Conservatives have won the Newark by-election, retaining the Nottinghamshire seat, but UKIP cut their majority from more than 16,000 in 2010 to just under 7,500. The Liberal Democrats lost their deposit in finishing sixth. Turnout was nearly 53%. The ambulance service say a motorcyclist has suffered life-changing injuries after a collision with a van on the A10 just north of Royston yesterday afternoon. The 25-year-old man was taken to Addenbrooke's Hospital. Aylesbury's hopes of reaching gold standard in the annual Britain in Bloom could be ruined by long grass, according to Liberal Democrat County Councillor Stephen Lambert. He wants the various authorities to work together to keep verges tidy, but Conservative Cabinet Member for Transport Ruth Vigor-Headley says they're looking to involve more town and parish councils to save money and maintain a service the public want.
Stukely at the moment run a fabulous model that's run by a volunteer that employs younger people. And Amersham Town Council run a superb model, and they reach out and they cluster with other parishes, and it just gives that flexibility for them to cut as and when they feel their residents would like it.
Ceremonies are taking place to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. World leaders, including the Queen and President Obama, will join hundreds of veterans in Normandy. 93-year-old Titch Rayner from Aylesbury took part in the invasion.
We were the Oxford Box D Company was elite troops. We were the first to land in Normandy.
You're wearing the tie?
Airborne tie. Yeah. I'm proud of it, yeah. So would you be if you went through what we went through.
In sport, Andy Murray faces Rafael Nadal today in the semi-finals of the French Open, and Hertfordshire's Olympic venue, the Lee Valley Whitewater Centre, hosts the three-day Canoe Slalom World Cup. The weather, a fine and sunny day, a maximum temperature 22 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
If I had a choice, I wouldn't live anywhere else.
It's one of those places that has retained its character and will hopefully continue to do so for many, many years.
It's all about where you live.
Oh, just a great buzzing place to live, really. There's so much going on.
And all this week, we're featuring Stony Stratford.
Stony Stratford, this is the place to be.
The big tour from BBC Three Counties Radio.
I got something much better to play. Sorry?
Uh-oh, what have you got?
No, I've got something really nice to play. All right, this is me and my boys last night, OK? This is the second time they did it. I wish I'd recorded the first time, OK? So this is them. They got in bed with me, and they're going, Daddy, can we watch the opening to the Monkeys? They like the opening. I said, oh, no, not really. And my youngest has now got this thing where he puts his hand and goes, just a little bit. Oh! Just a little bit. So, OK, so this is them listening. This is them watching the opening to the Monkeys, OK? Hang on a second.
Watch the opening theme to the Monkeys. Are you ready? Here it comes.
OK, well, you sit up straight and then you'll be able to see.
What's he doing? Here we go. Ready? Steady.
Listen to how much they love it.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
They're doing the walk.
Yeah. He's being sarcastic now.
A bike in that is crazy.
A bike in the sea, that's crazy.
Lots of bikes in the house, that's crazy.
Mustn't have bikes in the house.
Having a bath outside.
There's a bit where they have a bath out in the street. It's having a bath outside, it's crazy. That was my evening. What did you get up to?
Something similar, actually. I had a bath outside.
Yeah. What? Sorry? You had a bath outside? Can you do it in the 1944 voice?
I had a bath outside.
It's the best voice in the world. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's the last 55 minutes of the show, and then it's the weekend.
Hey, I've got a D-Day update.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, in terms of the first woman on the scene.
Oh, because we won that, yeah?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, shall I do the menu and then we'll...
Well, you can, but I thought maybe someone out there might know more about her.
Well, shall I do the menu?
Yeah, well, go on then.
Thank you very much. Coming up, we'll have Kath's D-Day update. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Kath, I believe you got a D-Day update.
What gave you that idea?
I don't know.
I do. It was from Carol in Elstree rang, but she thinks you're too daft to speak to.
Sorry?
I can see that.
Oh, really?
So she said that she knew about the first woman who was from Radlett, the first woman who arrived on the beaches on D-Day.
Oh, yeah, we had a caller mention this earlier on, didn't we?
Paul in Elstree. I wonder if he knows Carol in Elstree.
Okay.
They should be neighbours.
Yeah.
She says that the woman we're talking about is Iris Bauer, or ended up Iris Bauer.
She married Jack Bauer?
No, during the war, she was called Iris Ogilvy.
You've got to do it in the voice.
She was known as Fluff.
Fluff. I love wartime
She was a
nicknames.
nurse.
Good
And
for her.
if you'd like to read more, there is an excellent book by Eric Taylor called Frontline Nurses.
Fantastic.
But apparently, Iris Bauer, née Ogilvy, used to do talks in the area.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
If anyone knows any more...
08459 455 555. Now, as we've been hearing, a new £100 million Centre Parcs opens officially today in Bedfordshire. The holiday company's fifth resort includes a subtropical swimming area and 625 lodges. It will employ 1,500 staff and inject around £20 million a year into the local economy. Well, Martin Dalby is the chief executive of Centre Parcs. Morning, Martin.
Good morning.
Is everything in place? Are all the doorknobs on? Is the paint dry? Are you ready?
We are absolutely ready, and we've got the sun shining as well. It's a fantastic morning to welcome our first guests here to Woburn Forest, our newest park in the UK.
How many visitors are you expecting to come in over the weekend?
We've got about 3,000 this weekend,
blimey.
so we're not going to be quite full. We just want to gradually build up to our normal levels of occupancy, but, a lot of people here this weekend, and the weather's fantastic. They're going to really be, wowed by all the new facilities, I'm sure.
Well, now, listen, what I admire about you, you've made up a place name, Martin. Woburn Forest? Between Flitwick and Millbrook, you've made that up.
Not at all, not at all. We always choose a good name to name our parks. Longleat Forest, Sherwood Forest, something that means something in the area. And Woburn, of course, is a great name. There's a lot of heritage goes with that name, and we wanted to pick a name that suited our newest park. So we haven't made it up.
Okay. Are you confident that the road network can handle the amount of visitors that you're anticipating?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been open for trial breaks now for 3 weeks. We've had no issues on the road network. We've obviously built a couple of new roundabouts to ease the flow of traffic. We've got a huge car park. We've got a very long arrivals road within the park itself. And, of course, the evidence from our other parks over the last 27 years is that, the guests come staggered out through the course of the day, so we don't really get many bottleneck areas.
Okay.
And, yeah, there should be no issues.
You're creating 1,500 jobs. 90% of those are local. How many of those are permanent?
All of them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, we've got 1,500 employees on the books. 90% live within 15 miles of the site, and the great news is that 40% of those people are in the age group 16 to 24 years old. In other words, it's local jobs for local young people. It's great. It's a great story.
No, that's great news that we're helping people, or you're helping people like that. In what other ways do you think Centre Parcs is going to benefit the local economy?
Yeah, I mean, we've already engaged about 40 local businesses to help us with the park, supplying goods and services. So there'll be a lot of small businesses in the area that will benefit. Of course, we're going to have 350,000 visitors coming into the county every year. They're going to stop at local shops, petrol stations, buy a newspaper, all that kind of thing. So, we estimate about £20 million of impact on the local economy on an annual basis, which is, a huge sum for the area.
Now, Martin, listen, come on. I've got friends who live near theme parks and places like this. I've got some friends who live very close to Legoland. Yep. And what Legoland do every year is that with people within a couple of miles radius, they send a letter out saying, look, we'll give you a 30% discount on an annual membership, or we'll give you 4 free passes. Are you going to do that for the people of Flitwick and Millbrook?
In a word, we're not going to do that. That's not something we've ever done over the last 27 years. What we have just done last week is have an open day where we allowed lots of local residents to come onto the park and just see exactly what it is that we've been building for the last 2 years. But no, we wouldn't have any sort of local discounts or anything of that nature.
Some people might think that's a little bit of a shame.
I think, we run a commercial operation. We have to make a profit just like anybody else. We have shareholders to satisfy. We need to continue to reinvest in our business every year to ensure that we maintain our high levels of quality and standards. And discounting is not something that we've ever considered.
Martin, listen, maybe you should consider it. I wish you the very best of luck with the launch today. I'm sure it will go smoothly and wonderfully. And if you're going there to Centre Parks this weekend, I hope you have a fantastic time. Martin Dalby, Chief Executive of the aforementioned holiday resort.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I get paid extra for that advert, yeah? Cool. Got some texts. The EDL protest and the TUC protest that's taking place in Stevenage this weekend. Phil says, as much as I disagree with what the EDL stands for, I sometimes think that local and national authorities don't trust the public to make reasoned judgments. Let them have a peaceful march and clear off. We're more than capable of deciding what's right and wrong. Gary in Luton says, the EDL, muppets that they may be, are British citizens who have the right to protest and march. I think the Stevenage spokesman... Oh, Gary, really? Is this the best you can do? I think the Stevenage spokesman was being outright racist in saying, we don't want these people, British people, in our town. If this was Muslims protesting and he said the same comment, there would be an uproar. Yet again, double standards. If it was a Muslim racist organisation and he said these people, I think the councillor would be well within his rights. He's not... Gary, stop sending in your ridiculous texts. Call up, for goodness sake, so we can argue this out and I can point out just how nonsensical that is. Dave says, why does it cost so much to police marches and protests? Aren't they being paid anyway, or do they get some kind of double bubble protest money? Well, I guess they have to get people in who wouldn't necessarily be in. Maybe they've got time off and they get them in. I'm not sure. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Gary, do call in. You do text in with the most ridiculous tosh sometimes. How was the councillor being racist in saying we don't want these people? It wasn't a nod to British people, it was a nod to racists. And yes, if Muslim racists or Muslim extremists were protesting and he said these people, then no, there wouldn't be an uproar, Gary. There wouldn't be an uproar at all. You plum. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. We've had some texts about D-Day. We've had one saying that he was told it meant Disembarkation Day. I was told by my dad the D in D-Day stood for Disembarkation Day. You try saying that, says Stephen. Well, it turns out the D just stands for day. It's Day. Matt's getting excited because Matt's thinking this might be building up to a play of audio, aren't you, Matt? That's what you're thinking? Not now.
No, not playing it yet?
Not playing it yet. I reckon maybe after... If JVS keeps it short, OK, if JVS keeps it short when he comes in, then we might play it.
Right.
OK? But if we don't play it, it's a nice souvenir of the day that you can take and show your mum. Look what I made today, Mum.
She doesn't get radio. She doesn't get it. She'll think... What is that? Why did you waste your time doing that?
Yeah.
You're asking people the D in D-Day?
Yeah.
What's D-Day? It should know.
OK. Again, we're entering your own personal hell, and there's no need for that. I've got another text here. Let's have a look at this. Ian, I returned from a tour of the D-Day landings a few years ago. Standing in the war cemeteries and seeing all those headstones is very emotional. The beaches were so quiet and tranquil. It's difficult to imagine that 70 years ago they were the site of mass slaughter. I'll be watching the celebrations on telly tonight and remembering all those involved, those who died, and also those that survived, but still bear with them the memories of that day. One of the people on my tour celebrated his 70th birthday the day we visited Ranville War Cemetery, the cemetery where his dad is buried, a dad he never knew. Von, thank you very much for that. We don't normally dwell on the mawkish and the emotional on this show, but you know what? We've had such cracking stories. We've got another cracking story coming up in about 3 or 4 minutes about D-Day as well. So do indulge us if you wouldn't mind. BBC Three Counties Radio, let's get the travel with Alice.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 London bound, between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick, there was an earlier accident. Still slow through the area, but all lanes have reopened now. On the speed sensors around Markyate, the A5 heading towards Dunstable looking heavy at the moment. And also in Kings Langley, still delays on the A41 as you head towards the M25. In Enfield, the A10 looking very busy as you head towards Ponders End from the M25. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Alice. It's 8:16. It's Friday, the 6th of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Business leaders are welcoming the new Center Parcs resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today, and which is expected to inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Woburn Forest will cater for 350,000 guests each year. Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in town tomorrow. And ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Recognise this. What about this? And this? Do you know what they all have in common? They were all filmed locally in Elstree, and this afternoon I'll be live from Elstree Studios to celebrate 100 years of filmmaking in the area.
There was always different stars coming in and out. That was always nice about that. Every week there was a guest star, so that was lovely.
You'll hear from some of the biggest names as we celebrate the stages and screens of Hertfordshire.
You absolute traitor, you're a terrible traitor to work at Elstree.
Celebrating 100 years of film and TV making in Elstree and Warrenwood this afternoon from 3 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hey up, Dennis!
Good morning, Iain.
Good morning to you, sir.
Isn't it a beautiful day?
I don't know, I'm stuck in a tiny box.
Oh, dear. And you're talking down a tube?
Yeah, I'm talking down... Have you heard Kath's voice? Doesn't it sound good?
Well, no, don't forget, we're Mancunians. We speak proper. Right, proper.
Oh, yes, boss. Is that Win in the background?
It is, yes.
We don't get to hear Win very often.
Well, no, because she used to be my toy girl, but I've lost the key and can't wind her up too often.
Yeah, you're older than her now.
I am, yes, by 2 months.
Yes, yes. Morning, Win!
Morning!
I'm so sorry you have to put up with Dennis. We're doing our best to push him over the edge, but he won't let go.
Well, we're not, as I said, putting up with me, I'm still trying to find out how long we've been married.
Dennis, I'm not married to you. You're married to the lady in the room with you.
Even now we have an argument about it.
How long have you been married, Win?
She doesn't know.
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to Win. Win, how long you been married?
65. She's just miscounted, yes, 60. Actually, I'm not even sure we were married, actually.
Oh, what? What?
Well, I was away in the Navy at the time when it came time to buy the licence. Win bought the licence, and it was 7 and 6 in those days.
Yes.
But so was the dog licence.
Uh-oh.
And so, having got that, I then went to church. She was late to start with.
As she should be.
No, she was extra late.
Well, how late was she? How late were you, Win?
How late were you for church?
Waiting for the taxi.
So the taxi was going to had been to North Wales from Manchester, and he was late coming back. So the priest there sort of poking me in the backside and saying...
That's what they do?
We've got a funeral before long. If you don't hurry up, we'll have a wedding and funeral together.
Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Then when he came in...
Why is he telling me this?
Well, I say, when Win came in and we presented the ring, I was fighting the priest to put it on the right finger.
Yeah.
It was pushing... Apparently it was part of the ceremony to put on every finger, but being an illegitimate Christian, I didn't know what the hell...
You don't put it on every finger. You take the engagement ring off and then put that over the top of the wedding ring. I know that much.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. He couldn't make his mind up, and I was struggling with him. And then, as I say, when we got into the vestry, somebody put a chip in my arm, so I think it was a dog licence, because every time I go past the bed, he shrinks.
Win, how on earth do you put up with him?
Because we...
No, I'm talking to Win, Dennis, not you!
She can't hear you.
Right, well, translate for me. Win, how do you put up with him?
We laugh.
Don't tell her what to say. Win, are you there of your own free will? Cough twice if you want me to rescue you.
What? Does he want you to rescue him? Rescue me? I wouldn't do it if I was you. You've taken on more than you think.
Yeah, probably. Dennis, nice to talk to you. Have a lovely weekend. Deary me. Don, Don's on the line. Morning, Don.
Hello, morning.
Don, what would you like to say, boss?
The D in D-Day stands for deliverance, and you can put your house on it.
Well, no, I'm not so confident. One of the first calls we had, Don, said deliverance. Then we've had disembarkation. Then we've had it's just a military code. Then we've had it stands for day. I don't know who to believe. Well, what's your...
It's definitely deliverance.
How do you know this?
I definitely know this because I was at King's Cross. Well, I used to work on the railway at King's Cross Station in 1944.
Yeah.
And I come out and there was in the paper Deliverance Day on the evening news. Oh. So you can bank on it. Deliverance is the word.
Don, thank you very much indeed. Is the... OK, well, I'm still not convinced. I'm still not 100% convinced. 08459 455 555. Well, we're asking what the D in D-Day stands for, and I'm so glad I did. I thought it'd be one of those questions I'd ask, and everyone would go, "Oh, you plum, you utter you don't know. Get it. Go back to communist Russia." Well, no, hang on, they were on our side. Anyway. But it turns out most of you don't know. Why are we talking about D-Day? Well, because today is the 70th anniversary of it. June the 6th, 1944, more than 156,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of France in an attack which marked the beginning of the end of World War II. But before the boats landed, the 6th Airborne Division had a vital job, securing 2 bridges in enemy territory to prevent the Germans from reinforcing their troops. There are few veterans alive today who took part in that mission, but one of them, who's now 93, lives in Buckinghamshire. Tara Gungerful went to meet him.
I'm Titch Rayner, Aylesbury, born and bred. And I was the smallest born, and my mother said, "What a titchy, out of 9 family." And I was kept to me all my life. They didn't mind me going into the army, do me good, wasn't it? Come out as a sergeant of a very elite troops. We were, the Oxford Box D Company was elite troops. We were the first to land in Normandy.
You're wearing the tie.
Airborne tie. I'm proud of it, yeah. Well, so would you be if you went through what we went through.
I'm Captain Bill Hollander. I've been in the Royal Green Jackets Rifles for about 34 years. Titch was in the Oxford Bucks Light Infantry, which is one of our former regiments. So I've known Titch for about 21 years now, and I'm privileged to have known him.
We were a good unit.
You know, they were finely tuned athletes of their time, in military form, ready to take on this mission, this special mission, and everybody else was doing special missions, but this was the first action to get into Europe, and they were picked because they were the best. And Major John Howard,
finest officer in the British Army. He was the finest officer you could ever lead with you.
Oh, you say that with a lot of affection.
I do. There's nobody better.
Major John Howard was in command of 180 men on D-Day. Their task was to take and hold 2 bridges over the River Orne and the Caen Canal. 6 Horsa gliders were used to transport the troops to their target, a small section of land in enemy-held territory between the 2 bridges. The first 3 gliders touched down at 20 past midnight, 6 hours ahead of the Normandy landings. After 10 minutes of intensive fighting, they had taken the bridges, which are now called Pegasus, the emblem of the Airborne Division, and Horsa in their honour. Titch Rayner was in glider number 4.
The glider lands direct onto the target. You don't drop by a parachute and then consolidate. We dropped straight into the fighting.
The glider pilots, 1, 2 and 3 gliders that landed sort of 100 metres short of the bridge. Lots of people at the time said it was the best piece of flying that happened during the whole war. To get 28 men in these gliders plus the two pilots that close to their target, and it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. In the dead of night, remember?
Where were you shot?
In the arm, straight through the arm, up here.
Your right arm? And you're right-handed?
Yeah.
What was that pain like?
Like a red hot poker going through your arm. I carried on with them. I got nowhere else to go, had I? I couldn't get back to England until I got back with them. I'd lost a lot of blood because I didn't have it wrapped up for 6 hours. We weren't babies, we were tough men. It's only a bullet going through. And a very successful landing, wasn't it? Else you probably wouldn't be here today.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Excellent stuff, Tara. Thank you very much. You can hear a bit more of that later on in the day on Roberto's show as well. We've got some texts on what D-Day means. Leslie in Watford said, I was roundly told off by Mr. Roberts, my geography teacher, for not knowing that the D in D-Day stood for deliverance. Well, but Leslie, I would suggest you go and hunt down this Mr. Roberts and get him to squeal like a little piggy, because it may not mean deliverance. He may have got that wrong. Gabriel says, Gabriel or Gabrielle? Who would you go for?
Gabriel.
Okay. She doesn't know what she sounds like. That's the wonderful thing. She's going to get... You wait. Upstairs in the office, she'll be listening away and giggling to herself.
Is it going to be a terrible, terrible shock?
Yes, it is. It's incredible. D-Day is a military term for Target Day. Then why isn't it called T-Day? Example, D3, D2, D1, D-Day, D+1, D2... But why do they use the D, Gabriel? Why do they use the D? D-Day was chosen because as a letter it was easier to communicate phonetically and avoid confusion. Actual day would be D+1 without giving the actual date. But it's not. D isn't that easy because... Sorry, did you say T? D. Did you say T? You'd say Delta.
Yeah, you'd say Delta.
Or Tango.
No, that's T.
Yeah, exactly. What? OK. 08459 455 555. It's coming up to the last 30 minutes of the show. You can. It turns out there is no definitive answer, certainly not from you lot, as to what the D in D-Day stands for. We seem to be getting a lot of deliverance, or it's just kind of a generic letter.
And do you know what I'm getting? A lot of very cross phone calls of people who are sure they're right.
Yeah, this is what's so great. We had the fella that just phoned up and said you could bet your house on it. That poor Leslie was told off by Mr. Roberts, the geography teacher, for not knowing it was deliverance. And yet I suspect that Mr. Roberts and that cabbie were both wrong. I have no evidence to back that up. Matt, if only we had some word on the street as to what it meant.
I mean, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Do you want to... I'll tell you what, listen, you've been a good sport. Do you want to introduce your piece, your package?
Before the headlines?
Yeah, go on.
Oh, good.
We'll squeeze it in, go on.
Well, I just asked people, what does the D in D-Day stand for? Sorry to bother you. I work at Three Counties Radio.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Between Buckingham and Bletchley on the speed sensors, the A421 heavy around the Great Hall would turn off as you head towards Milton Keynes. And at the London Coney roundabout, North Orbital approaches looking heavy at the moment. Still in Enfield, we've got delays on the A10. That's very heavy as you head towards Ponders End from the M25. On public transport, London Overground have severe delays between Willesden Junction and Clapham Junction because some engineering works overran. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the English Defence League and the TUC in the town tomorrow. Hertfordshire Police say lessons have been learned from the EDL event in Luton in 2011. Business leaders are welcoming the new Centre Parks resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today and which is expected to inject £20 million a year into the local economy. Woburn Forest will cater for 350,000 guests each year. And ceremonies are taking place to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. World leaders, including the Queen and President Obama, will join hundreds of veterans in Normandy.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Andy Murray faces Rafael Nadal today in the semi-finals of the French Open. Their match will be second on court following Novak Djokovic against Ernest Gulbis. Here's Russell Fuller.
Murray faces the toughest test in tennis. Nadal's back may be cause for concern, but he was still able to win 10 games in a row against David Ferrer, and in 10 years at Roland Garros has only once shaken hands a beaten man. A forecast of hot sunshine is just to the champion's liking. The conditions will allow his top-spun forehand to rear up venomously on the clay, but Murray is one of the sport's great returners and has been striking the ball with great conviction. 2 5-set matches may take their toll, but if Murray can eliminate the mini slumps which have hindered his progress so far, he can make life very difficult for Nadal this afternoon.
England midfielder Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain says he's staying positive over his chances of playing in the World Cup following Wednesday night's knee injury against Ecuador. Manager Roy Hodgson says they'll give him every chance of proving his fitness. Former England defender Gary Mabbott says the former Tottenham striker Jermaine Defoe should be called up if Oxlade-Chamberlain is ruled out.
I think Jermaine Defoe should have been in the squad from the first place. He's doing well at Toronto at the moment, scoring a lot of goals over there. He's in form, so I would probably bring in Jermaine Defoe.
In rugby, scrum half Danny Kerr is out of England's first test in New Zealand tomorrow, so Ben Youngs is called up. Practice takes place this afternoon, our time, for Sunday's Canadian Grand Prix, and the world's best canoeists will be at the Lee Valley Whitewater Centre in Hertfordshire today as the 3-day Canoe Slalom World Cup begins. It will be the first time the Olympic venue has hosted international competition since London 2012, but Bedford gold medalist Etienne Stott misses out due to his shoulder injury. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's JVS. Honestly, I've not made Catherine's microphone sound like that deliberately. It's a spooky coincidence.
It sounds very wartime.
It's great, isn't it?
Yes.
She can't hear it in her headphones, so she doesn't know what she sounds like. She's in for a lovely surprise when she goes upstairs to have a little listen.
Yes, but it's very kind of old BBC,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's nice, isn't it? I kind of like that kind of... I tell you what I saw yesterday, a couple of days ago, in really nice kind of charity shop. It's like a retro charity shop, right? It was a radiogram.
Oh.
A big old-fashioned radiogram. Half of it was radio, half of it was record player, and there were kind of speakers built in.
Did you not buy it?
It was only 80 quid.
Why didn't you buy it?
I've got nowhere to put it. I've got nowhere to put it. I looked at it longingly, and I just thought, oh, I want that bad boy. And it would look... It looked wonderful. And it's one of the kind of thing that was smaller than the one we had when I was a kid, actually. We used to have a massive radiogram and there was a cupboard in it as well that you could just put junk in, bits of string and dice and marbles and things. But I saw it and I thought, oh.
My neighbour downstairs, she said to me once, she said, Jonathan, would you be kind? She's in her 80s. She said, would you be kind enough to take something to the tip for me? I said, yeah, no problem. So I went down there to collect what it was.
Yeah.
It was a genuine 1970s Bang & Olufsen stereo system.
Oh.
I said, why do you want me to take it to the tip? She said, it doesn't work anymore. I said, really? It doesn't work? She said, no, it doesn't work. I've had it since the 70s. It doesn't work anymore.
Wow.
So I didn't take it to the tip. I said, I don't want to take it to the tip. I said, can I have it instead? And she said, yes. It's been sitting in my loft now for 6 years. I don't know if it works or not.
No.
But it's so beautiful and it had lovely wooden speakers. I thought, I can't take that to the tip.
I bet that would be worth a few quid.
What, even if it doesn't work?
Yeah, because I bet it'll be really easy to repair. Because it's not
really.
It's not all like microchips and things like. If it's microchips, it's new stuff. You can't repair it. But it'll just be need a bit of soldering.
I think I should get it repaired then.
I think you should totally get it repaired.
Oh.
Things like that, and then either have it out on display and use it, or sell it on eBay for a few quid.
She even gave me the original perfect condition manual that comes with
it's going to be worth a fortune.
Is it really? Am I sitting on a small gold?
It's going to be worth a fortune.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Well, if I sell it, I'll split the cost with her.
No, don't do with her now. She gave it to you 6 years ago, mate. She's forgotten about it. I'm the one that's telling you. No, seriously, I'm the one that's telling you it's worth a few quid.
Right.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, but she might be able to have a little cruise or something.
It's all be worth that.
No? Well, you're building my hopes up.
You might get 100 quid or something for it.
Oh, forget that. I'll keep it.
Cyril, what's on your show today?
Right, we're coming up on the big phone. By the way, I should just point out, we will be discussing D-Day a little later on in my show.
Good for you.
But coming up at 9, it's perhaps today's biggest local story. It's this EDL march that's taking place in Stevenage tomorrow. Police and the council in Stevenage, they say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. Labour councillor Richard Henry says he's opposed to the march going ahead, but accepts the organisation has a democratic right to voice its opinion. Council leader Sharon Taylor has tweeted today that the march will cost hundreds of thousands of pounds to police at a time when funding for public services is running short. Well, the EDL Facebook page has asked supporters to meet at the Marquis of Lawn pub in Stevenage for 10 o'clock in the morning. But we've just heard from the pub that they don't want the supporters meeting there. They don't want them in the pub. They're not welcome in the pub. And a poster for the event, tweeted by a man who calls himself @CallMeInfidel, asks members in Stevenage to march for the children of today, protect them from the Muslim paedophiles of tomorrow.
Oh, right, yeah, OK, yeah. Well, those futuristic Muslim paedophiles, you know, they get around.
Well, from 9 a.m. this morning, I'd like your views. Should the EDL be allowed to march through Stevenage tomorrow? Should this march be allowed to take place? 08459 455 555. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that this morning from 9.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm getting excited by his Bang & Olufsen. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to charm it off him.
You should have said, "Oh, they're a real devil to get rid of. Let me take it off your hands." What?
Do it, 1940s lady. Go on.
Does it really sound that bad?
It sounds wonderful. When Jonathan came in, he said, "What have you done to Kath's mic? Have you done?" I've said, I've done nothing to it. It's just haunted by D-Day. D-Day is haunting your microphone.
Well, I think you missed a trick there, chaps.
Yes, I think we did. Anthony's on the line. Morning, Anthony.
Morning, Ian. How are we?
Well, do you know what, Anthony? It's nearly the weekend, and yes, it's a very busy weekend. But for goodness sakes, even I, grumpy me on a Friday, can feel a little bit light in spirit. What you got for us?
Well, we've after your support from last time, we've got Esme's All Stars car wash coming up tomorrow.
Oh yes, of course. Now remind me, Esme is Esme your little daughter?
Esme's my little girl. Yes,
your little girl, and she's got. Have I got this right? Locked-in syndrome.
Kind of. It's actually Rett syndrome.
Rett syndrome. Okay, and just remind people how that affects her.
Basically, it's robbed her of the ability to speak, a meaningful use of her hands, and some Rett girls can't walk. Some can't feed themselves either. We're lucky Esme can feed herself at the moment, but she's a special little girl. Basically, she talks through her eyes. Let's say.
And how hard is that for you as a dad?
It's horrible because, classic example, I took her to her little dance class with all the other 4-year-olds on Wednesday, and she's like a little island. She stumbles around doing her own thing whilst all the other little boys and girls are following the instructions from the teacher and are pretending to be trees and are pretending to be frogs and princes and things like that, whereas she just bimbles around, does her own thing, but she's happy. That's all I can ask for, really.
Well, it's heartbreaking because we all want our kids to be part of and to, feel welcomed and part of a community. But, if she's happy, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah, so other children do gravitate towards her as well because she's quite pliable. They love having her around, so they pull them into, which is lovely to see, they pull her into their group and they make her part of what they're doing. They don't. I mean, the young children don't know to discriminate.
No.
At this age, they just think she's a lovely little girl.
So you're raising some money? What are you raising the money for?
Raising the money for equipment and for her future. There is technology out there called eye gaze technology, which is incredibly expensive. It's about £25,000 for the computer and the course. It's the similar kind of thing that Stephen Hawking, the professor, uses.
Oh, right.
Where he uses his eyes to talk through a computer. So she will be able to talk, hopefully one day. We will hear a voice, albeit mechanical.
And you're having a little car wash. Whereabouts?
Village Gate Pub in Wendover. We're being supported by the RAF volunteers as well. We should have around about 10 to 15 squaddies, we hope, weather permitting, who will be dressed up in lovely raspberry pink Esme's All-Stars T-shirts. And there's another young lady who we are giving a percentage of the funds to, called Amy Russell, who is also trying to go to Cambodia to build a school. She's only 16. She's doing something fantastic, so we're trying to give something to her as well.
So just tell us exactly where and when tomorrow.
It's from 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock before the pub opens. It's the Village Gate pub, Wendover Road, Wendover.
And actually, I haven't forgotten. I'm just not. I did last time your missus was on. I said I was going to give you a few quid. Send me the details of where I can send some money, and I'll do that to the weekend at some point.
I will do. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. I hadn't forgotten. I just, I was hoping you'd forget. I'm teasing. I hadn't got round to it 'cause I'm rubbish. Send me the details and I'll send a few quid. James is in Bedford. Morning, James.
Hello, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, James. What would you like to say?
D-Day, mate.
Yes.
It does stand for day, and there was also H-hour.
Oh.
And they were planning phrases that were used by the military.
Okay.
Basically, so that they could create a plan and refer to things in absolute terms. So whatever event happens at H-hour, they could do plus and minus from that.
Yeah.
Same with the day. And there were two advantages. One, it made it very simple to understand.
Yeah.
And it also meant that you could change the date if you needed to, because as you know, D-Day was actually delayed by 24 hours because of the weather. And it meant that you wouldn't then have to update all the written plans that were out there. You could just say to people, on your plan, D-Day is actually the 6th of June and H-hour is 0600.
Well, hang on, because Leslie in Watford got in big trouble from Mr. Roberts, the geography teacher, because she didn't know that it stood for deliverance. Is Mr. Roberts wrong?
He is, yeah, because there were a lot of tags applied to it retrospectively by the press.
Right, I see.
Because we know the press does stuff like that for headlines.
No,
that
James,
kind of thing.
how cynical of you. No. Hang on a sec. Judy,
Hello.
Judy, has James got it right?
Pretty much bang on. The D-Day bit is being used by various countries at various times in history. It is a military term. It means absolutely nothing.
Oh.
What it actually stands for is the planning of a campaign or a battle, but it's D-Day when it is in the planning stages and the date and the time has not been formalised. So it is the intention to, as with D-Day in the Second World War, was as the intention to invade the northwest of France.
How do you know that this is what it means, Judy?
Because I've looked it up and done quite a bit of research on it since about 5:30, 6 o'clock when it was.
Did you know, Judy, before?
I was kind of leaning in that direction,
Right.
but I can't say I did. No, that would be dishonest.
James, how did you know? James? I think we lost James. James, Judy, thank you very much indeed. I'm so glad I asked the question because I thought I was such a plum for not knowing what D-Day stood for. I felt embarrassed yesterday as it was all on the radio and the TV, and then coming in this morning, I thought, you know what, I can't honestly sit here for a whole show and look at these pictures of these brave gentlemen on the front pages of the newspapers and inside the newspapers, and I can't sit there and talk about it honestly. I had to grass myself up. And so I haven't got no idea what it stands for. Peter's on the line. Morning, Peter.
Morning, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Peter. Now I think I know what D-Day stands for. What would you like to say?
Sorry I'm towards the end of your show. I've just been trying to track down a mate of mine. I've finally got him. He's a parachute instructor and takes people up and films them and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Disabled. You remember the blind guy?
Oh, it was Len, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, if he wants to do it, I can get all the forms printed off for him. As long as he's got a good ticker, he's allowed to go up and do it. And the certificate lasts for 2 years.
And how much is it going to cost?
No, I'll do that. It's all the way over in Reading because of Heathrow airspace.
Right.
It has to be right out of Reading, but I'll get my chauffeur to come and get him.
Like, what do you mean your chauffeur? You're not Peter Stringfellow or something, are you?
No, I'm Peter Meat. I'm a butcher.
Pete, stay there. Listen, I've got to go to the travel. Stay there. Well, I want to discuss this a little bit further with you.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 clockwise, between junction 23 for the A1M and 24 for Potters Bar, one lane is blocked because a lorry's broken down, making things quite slow through that area. Also in St Albans, the London Road queuing in both directions at the High Street. And then in Enfield, the A10 still looking very heavy as you head towards Ponders End from the M25. Public transport, London Overground have severe delays after overrunning engineering works. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. It's 8:45. Oh, you should hear the discussions going on here. It's 8:45. It's Friday, the 6th of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow. Hertfordshire Police told this programme that lessons have been learned from the EDL event in Luton in 2011. Business leaders are welcoming the new Centre Parks resort in Bedfordshire, which opens today and which is expected to inject £20 million a year into the local economy. And ceremonies are taking place in Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Let's get the weather.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, quite a lot of sunshine around today and plenty of blue sky as well. We've got temperatures reaching about 22 degrees Celsius, but a bit of an uncomfortable night to follow as humidity rises. So it's going to be a little bit muggy with temperatures down to 13 or 14 degrees. And it clouds over in the early hours of the morning ahead of this rain coming up from the southwest. The Met Office have a yellow warning in place for that rain from 3 a.m. until midnight tomorrow. Now, it's not going to rain consistently through that time. We're looking at some showery outbreaks of rain, which at times are going to be quite heavy. And where it is heavy, there is a risk of localised flooding. By the end of the day, though, we're looking at a fair amount of sunshine around, and it should be a lot drier too, with temperatures reaching 22 or 23 degrees Celsius. And a fresher night to follow. It was Sunday, looking like the better day for the weekend, though. Some sunny spells, largely dry. We may just have some rain coming up from the south again in the night. And then Monday and Tuesday, a bit showery, with some sunny spells on Tuesday. That's your latest forecast.
Every weekday morning.
My show's called The JVS Show, 9 o'clock in the morning on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
I deal with the consumer problems that affect people all over Beds, Herts and Bucks.
And I said, well, I didn't come all this way to be looking at a broken down hotel.
Those companies, those councils, those organisations that are letting people down.
This guy turned around and said to me that they're not prepared to pay me, and I said, so you're forcing me to take action. And he said, good luck, and put the phone down on me.
I get my teeth into them.
Oh, Jonathan, I'll start crying soon. We don't know what to do.
Deal with them and hopefully get results for you, the consumers.
And it got so convoluted, I thought there's only one person who can sort this out.
The JVS Show on BBC Three Counties Radio.
OK, so earlier on, it's been quite a sentimental show for us. We never normally do this kind of guff, but actually I've enjoyed it. Don't worry, normal service will resume on Monday, won't it, Catherine?
Yes.
Oh, good, your voice is still sounds funny.
What about... Try something. Yeah. What about now?
Say something.
Hello.
It's a little bit better. It's not massively. Maybe.
Hello, London calling.
That's it. That's what we want. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. Don't worry. We can.
Back to the other thing.
Yeah, maybe we could do this after the show. I don't know, because there's not much time and I've got to squeeze in Matt's.
Go on, talk.
Right. So we've had quite a nice sentimental show. I played my first ever dedication to. It was to Ray and Sylvia.
Yes.
Their 55th wedding anniversary, and they had a little boogie in the kitchen, which was nice. And then we took a call from Len, who's in his 70s, late 70s. He was a paratrooper, and then he said stormtrooper, but that would be inaccurate. And he's not done a parachute jump for about 30 years, and he's hankering. Yeah. He's hankering for a bit of a leap out an aeroplane. He's blind, but he's hankering. Well, Peter, just clarify. You've called in. You think you might be able to help Len?
Yeah, I've already spoke to a mate of mine, Tim, and he's an instructor in Reading.
OK, so Tim is actually, he's a proper person. He's not just some bloke that's got some really high stairs.
No. He throws himself out of planes all the time. He's a bit of an idiot.
OK, and are elderly people allowed to do it?
Yeah, they can do it. All he's got to do. I spoke to him about 10 minutes ago. He's going to email me the form over. As long as Len hasn't got a dodgy ticker, he's absolutely fine. He can go up there. He takes Ladies done a lady with polio, people that can't walk.
This is wonderful.
And he can video it as well. He can put a camera on his hat and then video the whole thing, so then he'll get a full coverage to watch it over and over again if he wants to do it.
This sounds wonderful. It also sounds terrifying. Listen, Len can't come on the air right now. He's busy. But Kelly, you've spoken to Len, have you?
I called Len. Yeah, he sounds really busy and rushed off his feet. He's outside somewhere.
Oh, good for him. What did you mention Peter's offer to him?
I did. I explained the situation, and he said that he's happy for me to give Peter Len's number. And Peter, I've sent you an email with his number on because I know you were driving and couldn't take it down.
Yeah, cool, no problem. I'll get when I get back.
All right, listen, Peter, can we speak to you next week, maybe off air? Yeah, cool. Because we one of us will have to go down and see this, won't we?
Yeah, all of us.
Let's all do it.
I'm imagining.
There's got other guys there if you want to have a go at it.
Do you know what? I got a bone in my leg, but I know someone who'd like to do it. I know Justin would love to jump out of an aeroplane. So what? Kath, Kelly, and I can be on the ground with the coffees, and Justin can jump out with Len.
Yeah, fine. Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Peter, you're a top bloke. Let's speak next week, because if we can make that happen, wouldn't that be awesome? Until somebody seriously injures themselves and we end up in court, and this bit of audio is played in court saying I wasn't taking it seriously enough.
Let's fill out the relevant forms and speak to the bosses.
Speak to the bosses. Let's. I mean, the BBC are going to make it flipping hard to do, aren't they? But wouldn't that be amazing?
But if Len's going to do it anyway,
we might be there just by coincidence. Wouldn't that be amazing? He's a paratrooper. He's not jumped out of a plane for 30-odd years. He's in his late 70s. He's blind. He might end up jumping out of a plane.
He still remembers the rush.
Oh, man alive. It might be the last thing he remembers. Who knows? Peter, you're a top bloke. Thank you very, very much for that. We'll follow that up. That could be absolutely amazing. Now, we've been talking about D-Day today. Why? Well, because it's the 70th anniversary. For goodness sakes, that's why. We didn't know what D-Day stood for. We know it stood for freedom and it stood for bravery beyond and above and beyond. We know it stood for all of those things. I didn't know what the D stood for. Now, I was surprised and relieved to find out that the rest of my team didn't know what the D stood for. Matt Lockwood has been with us this week, unfortunately. Matt?
Yeah, just play the audio. Because if I talk, you might run out of time.
How long is it?
It's about 3 minutes.
Wow, that's long.
It's long.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll play it if you use Catherine's mic and you introduce it in a 1944 voice.
Go on.
Oh, this is going to be difficult. I don't know how to do a 1940s voice.
You don't have to do a 21st century voice.
Terribly. Yeah, so I need some headphones.
Well, you don't really.
You don't need any headphones. Oh, for goodness sakes.
What a diva.
Right. Righty-ho. It's Matt calling. Bottoms up. Here's my Vox. What does the D in D-Day stand for? Sorry to bother you. I work at Three Counties Radio. Do you know what the D in D-Day stands for? Sorry to bother you. Do you know what the D in D-Day stands for? We're trying to find out this morning. The D in D-Day.
I don't know, man.
No idea? I work at Three Counties Radio. Yeah. Iain Lee wants to know, and I don't know, what does the D in D-Day stand for? Any ideas?
D-Day.
What does it stand for, the D in D-Day? The actual D.
D-Day wasn't a war, isn't it?
Yes.
I think 6 June.
Right.
6 June, 1944, maybe? I don't know.
70th anniversary today. But what does the D in D-Day stand for? Do you know any ideas? No. All right. Do you know what the D in D-Day stands for? We're trying to find out this morning.
I don't know.
No ideas?
No.
Hazard a guess?
I don't know, sorry.
All right, thank you. Sorry to bother you. Do you know what the D in D-Day stands for?
Huh?
The D in D-Day. It's the 70th anniversary today. The D in D-Day. Iain Lee wants to know.
You tell me.
I'm trying to find out. Sorry to bother you. I work at Three Counties Radio. I know you're going to work. What does the D in D-Day stand for? Do you know? Any ideas?
Oddly enough, I was thinking that this morning, and no, I don't.
Iain Lee back in the studio. He's got no idea. I don't know either.
No, I don't, and I quite agree with you. I wish they had explained it. I was listening to it on the radio this morning, the 70th anniversary, and no, nobody thought to actually explain it to us ignorant people.
Well, I'm going to try and find out the answer. Thank you very much. I'm losing the will to live here. Let's try this gentleman. Sorry to bother you. No. Doesn't want to speak to me. this gentleman's having a nice cup of coffee. Sorry to bother you, you're having a cigarette as well.
Sorry, it's an all up. It's an all up. I'm sorry, mate.
I work at Three Counties Radio on the breakfast show, Iain Lee. He wants to know, what does the D in D-Day stand for? None of us know.
I don't know either. I don't know either.
Would you like to know what it stands for?
Yeah, what it stands for?
Well, I don't know myself. I'm trying to find out.
I don't know either.
I've spoken to about 10 people now.
Too early in the morning.
Enjoy your coffee. You do. I feel like Charlie Janica trying to get an answer, get some result before the time runs out. I'm running now. Nobody else. This gentleman looks a bit wise and worldly. Sorry to bother you. Iain Lee, our breakfast presenter, in the building just across the road. Yeah. He wants to know, what does the D in D-Day stand for? Any ideas?
Dunkirk.
Is it Dunkirk?
Yeah. What it stands for? Dunkirk.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Have you read that on the internet?
No, I haven't read it on the internet, no, but someone told me it stands for that.
Who told you that?
Well, it was actually one of my uncles. He was involved in the war over there. Yeah, so, and he told me that years and years ago. You know, that's what it stood for.
So D stands for Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, yeah.
All right, thanks very much. So, have we got an answer? Is that the right answer?
No, but well done, Matt. That was excellent. Thank you. That's made me chuckle a lot. Isn't it interesting that there seems to be no definitive answer. The one that I'm tending towards is
Judy. Judy, I think, got it right.
What did Judy say?
She said it was a general military term.
Yeah.
And that's what the official BBC line is on this one.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got the official paper here.
Yeah, that's official BBC paper.
D-Day is a general military term for the day on which an operation or exercise is planned to commence.
What's he doing?
Trying to do a voice. You do it, Catherine. You're much better. Go on.
No, you're all right. I think
No, go on. You don't want to read it all out? No? All right, but anyway...
I just got to highlight, Matt, sorry, you are at the bottom of the bullying food chain, so that, you know...
It's a general military term.
OK. I feel sorry for that fella who thought it was Dunkirk. If his uncle was telling him that, what other nonsense was he making up? I'm genuinely glad I asked that, because it was puzzling me yesterday, and I thought today it was one of those questions, I can't ask, because Kath and Matt will laugh at me. Kelly will go, yeah, no, I don't know either.
It's kept us going.
It's given us content when there was none.
Because we were talking about grass at one point.
Apparently in France it's called Georges.
What does that mean?
D-Day.
Well, no, Georges.
Well, jour is day, and
J
is
You're
French
thinking
for je.
The French are weird, aren't they? The French are weird. Well, I'm glad we've answered that question. Pretty much. We seem to sort of have an answer. It's not Dunkirk. It's not disembarkation. It's not any of the other things that you came up with. It's that. So that's good. New podcast will be up a little bit later on today. There's some cracking stuff in there, by the way. It's been a good week so far. You'll also hear... I think we can squeeze it in. My only, it's my first. What do you call it when you play a record for a man? Request. Thank you. My first request I've ever done in radio, and will probably be the last one. Let's be honest. Matt has very kindly recorded the links for us for this week's podcast. If you want to see what he looked like whilst he was recording those, then facebook.com/BBC3CR, or you can follow at. BBC3CR on Twitter, or at Iain Lee, and we shall tweet those beautiful, beautiful yet strangely horrific images.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25, clockwise between junction 23 for the A1M and 24 for Potters Bar. One lane is blocked after a lorry's broken down. Slow through that section at the moment. Also, the M40 London bound at junction 4 for High Wycombe. There are queues on the exit slip road. We've had an update in from Helen in St Albans. Milehouse Lane at the Knapsbury Lane. One lane is blocked there after a car's broken down and making things quite slow in the area. In Marlow on the sensors, the A404 struggling as you head towards High Wycombe, approaching the Handy Cross roundabout. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Alice. Have a nice weekend. And that is it. It is the weekend. Thank you for all your calls throughout the week. Don't forget you can send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk if you want over the weekend. JVS is up next. Until Monday at 6 from us. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Friday. It's 9 o'clock. And on today's big phone-in, should the EDL be allowed to march through Stevenage tomorrow? Police and the council in Stevenage say they're working to ensure peaceful marches by the EDL and the TUC in the town tomorrow.